Hello everyone, this is EB the Original Master, and I am back again with another SpongeBob review. So today I saw the new episode, Cave Dwelling Sponge and the Clam Whisperer from Season 11, and I will be giving you guys my review of this episode right now. So, Cave Dwelling Sponge was actually a pretty unique episode. Instead of physically reviewing everything that I saw in this episode, I'm gonna give you some highlights of this episode. So technically, the beginning of the episode, SpongeBob and Patrick was doing a morning nature walk, and Patrick was sleepy, of course, because he's not a morning person, and he would rather go home and sleep during the morning. So SpongeBob encourages Patrick that it's okay for him to work out and get some exercises in the morning by doing a nature walk. So they go inside of a cave, and then they notice the scenery of the cave. So the cave had all these ice particles in it. In fact, it was like a giant ice mirror. And then Patrick was being very stupid, so he stuck his tongue against the ice, and then he got his tongue stuck in it. And I thought that wasn't pretty funny. That wasn't actually funny at all. It was just very dumb. So SpongeBob then pulls out a cup of hot chocolate, pours it on Patrick's tongue, and then Patrick freaks out because the hot chocolate was burning his tongue. So SpongeBob and Patrick then leaves the cave, and then inside the cave where SpongeBob poured the hot chocolate at, the ice particles, is where the cave sponge came out. So the cave sponge is actually obsessed with SpongeBob's shoes throughout this entire episode. And now moving on to the highlights. So SpongeBob arrives home from his morning nature walk, and then he realized that his backpack that he was carrying was a little bit heavy, and that's where the cave sponge was actually in when he admired SpongeBob's squeaky shoes. The cave sponge comes out of the backpack, sees Gary, freaks Gary out, destroys half of SpongeBob's house, and then while SpongeBob is getting ready for work, the cave sponge accidentally got into the work business too by going to SpongeBob's clothing room. So the cave sponge follows SpongeBob to work, admiring his shoes, saying "squeaky, squeaky." That was his catchphrase of this episode. Destroying parts of the town. He destroyed a fountain, a mailbox, some fences, started destroying houses. And then when SpongeBob got to the Krusty Krab, he was framed because everyone thought that SpongeBob, the real SpongeBob, destroyed all the property where it was just the cave SpongeBob. So SpongeBob got framed, he got thrown into prison, and then that's where the highlights of this episode began, when the cave sponge just started causing havoc in the Krusty Krab by destroying everything. So Mr. Krabs and Squidward notices that the cave sponge is causing havoc in the restaurant, and SpongeBob is the only one who can communicate with them. So while SpongeBob is in prison in the city hall, the cave sponge arrives, and SpongeBob is the only one who can communicate with this cave sponge. So SpongeBob and the cave sponge are on top of the city hall, while SpongeBob is greeting him by saying his name. So the cave sponge said "Spongy, Spongy," punches SpongeBob in the face, and then SpongeBob and the cave sponge had a musical number while dancing on top of the city hall, and that was actually a pretty hilarious scene. So after the dance off, the cave sponge takes SpongeBob's squeaky shoes, and then he then apologizes to the cops about what happened to the city hall, which was destroyed by the cave SpongeBob. And so Perch Perkins was in this episode reporting the news about the cave sponge causing havoc, and broke the fourth wall by saying "this episode," which was actually a pretty hilarious gag. And that was the and sorry about that, you guys. So the episode ends with the cave sponge smashing the camera with a club, ending Cave Dwelling Sponge. Cave Dwelling Sponge was actually a pretty good episode. It had some really good humor of the cave SpongeBob. The jokes were actually pretty good. I'll give this episode a 8 out of 10. Very good episode. I actually enjoyed Cave Dwelling Sponge a lot. Now let's move on to the Clam Whisperer, its sister episode. No offense, you guys, I really did not like the Clam Whisperer. This episode was actually not that great. So basically these clams are migrating from their winter climate area where they were from, and they need to find a place for them to keep warm from the harsh winter's cold. So SpongeBob and Patrick was doing clam watching from their binoculars, and Patrick then appears again in this episode for no apparent reason. Patrick, he wasn't part of the plot in Cave Dwelling Sponge, but he was just there at the beginning, and then he was never brought up again. So Patrick was in this episode again in the Clam Whisperer, and none of his moments were funny. Patrick's moments were so dumb, it was not funny at the slightest to see how stupid Patrick was in this episode. He was very unlikable, he was very dumb, and I'm so glad he wasn't part of this plot. He wasn't part of the plot of this episode. So basically, these clams are obsessed with Krabby Patties, basically. So they keep stealing people's food, keeps eating their food and whatnot. And nothing in this episode really got me laughing out loud. I mean, the clams did pooped all over Squidward's house, and then Squidward accidentally got pooped on from the clams. They had to take a bath. But other than that, this episode really wasn't that funny. All it was the clams just stealing people's food and SpongeBob trying to run them out of town. Nothing humorous occurred in this episode. Again, they pretty much reused the same characters from Cave Dwelling Sponge. They used Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, Patrick, Mr. Squidward. They used those characters again. Like they were really running out of character selections from Cave Dwelling Sponge and the Clam Whisperer. But the Clam Whisperer wasn't as great as Cave Dwelling Sponge though. So yes, the clams then causes havoc by stealing people's food, and then Mr. Krabs' greediness returns in this episode, where every time Mr. Krabs made an insult to the clams spitted out pearls, and which Mr. Krabs uses to make profit out of. It's almost like Mr. Krabs' behavior from Out of the Picture from season 10. I mean, it's ridiculous about the fact that Mr. Krabs is keep obsessing over greed of stuff. I mean, he's always greedy, and that's what I really don't like about Mr. Krabs' character. So yeah, so cut to the case, the episode ends with SpongeBob transforming into one of the clams to migrate them back to their correct locations. And so the episode ends with Squidward cleaning up his house from the clam feces, and then the SpongeBob. Sorry, let me rephrase that again. So the ending of the Clam Whisperer was Squidward cleaning up his house from the clam poop. I said snail. I don't know. You know what? Rephrase this one more time. Take it nice and easy. The ending of the Clam Whisperer has Squidward cleaning up the clam poop. SpongeBob then returns back to his home. Squidward then finds out that he thinks that SpongeBob was the clam. SpongeBob convinces that it was just him. Squidward then falls into Patrick's saliva that he was drooling on from his sleep, like at the beginning of the episode, which had no purpose whatsoever. And so SpongeBob then sleeps in a nest at the ending of the Clam Whisperer. The Clam Whisperer was just meh. I'm sorry, you guys. The Clam Whisperer was not a good episode at all. I mean, there were some good moments in it with how the characters interacted, but yeah, it was just a meh episode. It wasn't that funny at all. So I have to give this episode a 6 out of 10, while Cave Dwelling Sponge gets an 8. Oh yeah, another thing that I want to talk about another thing that I want to discuss about Cave Dwelling Sponge was the blender scene when SpongeBob was mixing up a milkshake, and then Mr. Krabs came from the window, or from the little drive-through window thing, and started screaming out SpongeBob's name. That was actually pretty hilarious to see how cartoony the gags were in that episode. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my review for Cave Dwelling Sponge and the Clam Whisperer. These episodes were actually pretty good. Well, the Cave Dwelling Sponge was, not the Clam Whisperer. And I hated the fact that they used skipping the school for both the Cave Dwelling Sponge and the Clam Whisperer. And they also did Kula Ghibli. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name of the song. That was the title card music for the Clam Whisperer. And for Cave Dwelling Sponge was SpongeBob's History Song. So with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Hello everyone, Evie the Original Master here. And today I'm here again with another SpongeBob episode review. Today I saw the season 11 premiere on Nickelodeon.com, Spot Returns, and the Checkup. So these episodes have finally came out on Nickelodeon.com since I've missed them yesterday from its airing. So I'm here to review these episodes and provide the upload maybe either tomorrow or sometime on Wednesday. So in Spot Returns, Spot, Plankton's pet amoeba, if you guys don't know who Spot was, he's actually Plankton's pet amoeba from the episode Plankton's Pet from season 9, which he first appeared in. And so they made a sequel follow-up to that episode. So Spot Returns have Spot growing these offsprings, where Plankton thought Spot was a boy, but Karen stated that it doesn't matter what gender he is to have offspring. Since they're amoebas, it doesn't matter what gender they are, they can still produce offspring. So these offsprings create other amoeba dogs, just like Spot, and according in this case, where Karen has a weird, cute overdose that causes her to crash because the cuteness from Spot have made her crash because of this cute overlord thing. So basically, Plankton's next scheme is, yes, it's the exact same plot as always. He wanted to use Spot clones or his offspring to go off to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula. So there's many different spots that he uses. These different pet amoebas that he uses. He uses a cloning one. He uses a detonator one that has like a grenade and a comic relief one that goes off to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula. I'm really about had it with these plots that Nickelodeon keeps coming up with. That's really predictable because it's been done so many times, and I don't know why Nickelodeon can't just give up with that idea. But hey, it's the same story. It's the same story running on SpongeBob, and we just have to accept that idea. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate the episode. I just wish that they could have used this plot for a better usage. So like there's there are like some highlights of this episode where when SpongeBob and Plankton was selling Spot's offsprings, like they found these Girl Scout cookies. They were found these Girl Scouts selling cookies, so they threw him out. I mean, the Plankton threw them out. That's what I meant to say. You see, I don't care if I screw up the dialogue. Again, I told you guys I don't write scripts for these. I just saw the episode today. But anyways, so then he throws these Girl Scouts out, and then so he was trying to sell Spot's amoebas for him to make profit out of it. So let's cut off to the ending because there's not that much to talk about. So basically, these amoebas are actually stealing stuff from others. So like this, so Mrs. Puff actually purchased one of these amoebas where she had to go off to do some errands, and then Mrs. Puff's pet amoeba started freaking out and started like destroying her entire house, stealing her jewelry and whatnot. So basically, Plankton then uses all of the jewelry and all the stuff that the offspring amoeba stole to I don't know, like keep to himself, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he then uses it to like create like these bad things to steal stuff. No, basically they just stole it just to steal it. They had no purpose of stealing it. And then since Plankton realized that these amoeba steal stuff, he then uses them to steal the formula. That's where the formula concept came into play, when Plankton realized that Spots' offspring could steal things when they get very angry. So basically, he then steals the Krabby Patty secret formula, and then SpongeBob gets thrown into a dog cage. In fact, SpongeBob was actually doing the training. He was teaching the amoebas how to act like dogs and whatnot. So he like transformed himself into one to like teach them. And so then SpongeBob then uses the amoebas to attack Plankton. Caring cuteness overlord turns back to craziness. The offspring creates a much bigger Spot. He then attacks Plankton, and then Plankton has a cute overlord too, ending Spot Returns. So Spot Returns was actually a pretty funny episode. I actually loved this episode a lot. Don't get me wrong, Spot's offsprings looked adorable. In fact, it was adorable because that's how the episode was supposed to be. They're supposed to be like these cute little things that you could raise of your own. A lot better than the pets from Work at a Pizza Place. My gosh, those things are annoying. But Spot Returns, I give this episode an 8 out of 10. Pretty good episode. But I wish the secret formula idea should have never been mentioned in this episode. But yeah. Alright, so let's move on to the Checkup, the sister episode. So at the beginning of the Checkup, we get SpongeBob and the Krusty Krab getting a checkup from a doctor. Like he's in the curtain shade. And you just see his pants flying everywhere and whatnot. And then so Mr. Krabs is in the boat, the waiting boat where Squidward's at, coddling with fear because he doesn't want to get his checkup. Mr. Krabs, to be honest, it's weird because you're like an elderly man. You should be getting your daily checkups because if you don't take care of yourself, you're gonna die one day. So the part that I really don't understand is SpongeBob made an excuse saying he never got a checkup before. SpongeBob, you're an adult. How come you never? So what, you never had a checkup when you were a child? Then what were your parents doing? I mean, seriously, if this was your first time having a checkup, then what were you doing in your childhood? I mean, that's weird. I mean, but yeah. So yeah, let's move on to the really, really, really disturbing scene. So that is one disturbing scene of this episode where the doctor wanted to give Squidward an ink check. So when I saw the doctor pulling out the cup, I thought he was going to do like a urine test, but it turned out to be it was an ink test because Squidward can't pee, but he just inks. I don't know why he doesn't have urine. I mean, he's an octopus. He's got to have some urine if he has to pee, but since he's an octopus squid, he inks, and the doctor encourages him that he needs to drink more water since his ink is really thick. So Mr. Krabs is so afraid to get his checkup. The doctor said that if he doesn't get his checkup, the Krusty Krab will get shut down. Again, it almost sounds like Abandoned Bikini Bottom when that fish lady, I don't know what her name was, tried to bankrupt the Krusty Krab, tries to close it down because of SpongeBob singing and the way how the Krabby Patty tasted. See, the Checkup and Abandoned Bikini Bottom have very similar plots where the Krusty Krab is getting forced to get shut down. I mean, why is it trying to get forced to shut down? It's like the only main restaurant in Bikini Bottom, which I find kind of weird. So SpongeBob made like an excuse for to do Squidward's checkup over the weekend, and so on Monday, so the doctor could actually check on how Mr. Krabs did well on his checkup. So we did the imagination reference from the Idiot Box episode, but instead of a rainbow, it showed like these words. I think it was like everybody, I guess. I'm not sure what it was, but I don't care. But yeah, so SpongeBob and Squidward are giving Mr. Krabs out his checkout routines, such as a physical test where they had like a box where they had like he was trying to give him free money. So Mr. Krabs' pinchers was going through the box trying to like pinch SpongeBob and Squidward in there. You saw that? I was about to say Mr. Krabs until I stopped myself. You see, this is exactly why I really need to take these reviews a little bit more seriously, so we ended up screwing up the name of these characters. So while SpongeBob and Squidward were inside the box with the free money sign, Mr. Krabs' pinchers was clenching in there. So then the next test, SpongeBob disguised himself as a clothing store clerk a clothing store clerk, where SpongeBob and Squidward were like morphed into they're like on top of each other and like in these like running a clothing store booth, where SpongeBob did some really bad checkup things in there. And last but not least, they did an X-ray test where SpongeBob took Mr. Krabs into a photo booth in this reggae Jamaican style clothing. I don't know why they think it's funny to make fun of the Jamaicans, but hey, I guess that's how it is. So then Mr. Krabs was only supposed to take one photo or one X-ray, but SpongeBob put it up there for 25,000. See, that's how dumb SpongeBob is. And then another dumb thing that SpongeBob did was Squidward asked him to take his temperature, says he's cold-blooded, and he literally threw Mr. Krabs in the freezer. SpongeBob, why don't you listen to your friends at once? I mean, seriously, SpongeBob, you gotta listen to your friends. If you listen, then you'll make your life a lot easier if you listen to your best friends. So at the end, Mr. Krabs goes to Muscle Beach where he's working out with Larry the Lobster, and at the very ending, Larry the Lobster disguised himself as Mr. Krabs, so Mr. Krabs could have the excuse not to be part of the checkup. So the ending, Mr. Krabs ends up cracked out of his shell, runs out of the restaurant naked, obviously, ending the checkup. So the checkup actually was another pretty decent episode. I actually did like the story a lot, but I don't understand why Mr. Krabs is afraid to get a checkup. I mean, he needs to be happy to get one because that means he could live a much healthier life if he gets a daily checkup. Because for an age like Mr. Krabs, he's a really old character or a really old person. If he doesn't get his daily checkups, most likely he could get really sick and he can probably die from his illnesses. So my overall rating for the checkup is an 8 out of 10, the same rating as Spot Returns. So season 11 actually had a pretty good start, and I can't wait for the rest of season 11. Hope you guys enjoyed my review for Spot Returns and the Checkup. Guys, I'll see you guys next time. Sorry if the dialogue was weird. I'll put the link of the episode from the Nickelodeon website in the description if you guys want to check this episode out again. If you've missed it, it's already been uploaded to Nickelodeon.com. With that said, hope you guys enjoyed my review, and I'll see you guys next time. Sayonara. Hi you guys, EB the Original Master here, and today I'm here to review another SpongeBob SquarePants episode. Today I'm here to review There's a Sponge in My Soup. So before I get any further with this review, Just Sponge, who is this YouTuber, posted the full link of the English version of this episode. Yes, this episode is not out in the United States, it was actually aired in a different country, and so Just Sponge provided the link of where you can get the episode in English. So I'll put the link down below for you guys to download the episode yourself and check it out. So the synopsis for In a Sponge in My Soup, it's not a pretty interesting concept. I mean, it was a good concept, but the whole synopsis of the episode really wasn't that great. So technically, in this episode, Mr. Krabs opens up soup for the customers. And then SpongeBob recited that there's actually a group of hippies that are going to come and try out the soup. So this entire episode was just SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs making the soup. They made the soup out of, well, Mr. Krabs, he used like old pickles, mashed potatoes in the face of Squidward, a moldy Krabby Patty. Was just discussing things that he put inside the soup. So SpongeBob was making the soup on the stove, and that's where the hippies was outside of the restaurant. So technically this entire episode was basically the hippies going inside the soup and eating up all the ingredients that SpongeBob was putting in the soup. And yes, it really wasn't that great. I mean, there were some gags that I actually laughed at. It's when, the only gag that I pretty much laughed at in this episode is when SpongeBob tried to act like a tough person. I mean, he like, the way how he did it was he pulled up his pants a little bit tighter than usual, and that was the only funny gag that I enjoyed throughout this episode. Other than that, the whole concept was just dumb. I mean, not the soup concept, but the whole concept about the hippies going inside the soup and being all cool and eating everything. I mean, they could have did something a whole lot better than adding hippies. I mean, I don't know, what were they thinking coming up with this plot? I don't know if it was their choice to do it, but other than that, the whole episode really wasn't that great. It was meh. I have to agree with Squidward here. There really wasn't that much funny gags in this episode. It was just dumb, stupid filler. I'm glad that Bubble Bass came back as a cameo, but I mean, he was another good choice for this episode, but I didn't like the hippies. I really didn't like the hippies. They should have never been in this episode. They should have went for a much better concept than hippies. I mean, it was taking place in winter time. Yes, it was the winter. Yes, the whole episode was taking place in winter, basically. There was no snow, which made absolutely no sense. But overall, I give a sponge in my soup. I'll give this episode a 5 out of 10. It's not good, guys. It's not a really good episode. It's meh. It's not the greatest I've seen. So this is the second meh episode of season 11. Don't get me wrong. The title cards have been on point. The only good thing about season 11 so far are the title cards. So far, we had good episodes like Spot Returns, The Checkup, Cave Dwelling Sponge, and that's pretty much it. And Spin the Bottle. Then we got the meh episodes, The Clam Whisperer, and There's a Sponge in My Soup. So far, the only thing that is pleasing about season 11 are the title cards and some of the episodes. But other than that, this is the second meh episode of the season. So with that said, thank you so much for watching my review on There's a Sponge in My Soup. No, I am not going to review the whole episode in depth because I don't want to. I'm only giving out little bits of details about it because I don't want to sit here and review every little bit of thing about this episode. But I'll tell you who the characters are. SpongeBob was in this episode. Patrick was there as a brief cameo. He was inside the soup, dressed up as a hippie guy. Mr. Krabs was a hippie. I mean, the whole hippie concept was so dumb. And another part that I really didn't laugh at is when they were playing on the drums. I mean, they were playing on the drums just to attract the hippies. I mean, no, just no. Why hippies? Seriously, this episode could have had a whole lot of potential if they should have left out the hippie idea for some other episode, not for There's a Sponge in My Soup. I mean, seriously, what does soup have to do with hippies? Or, I mean, what does hippies have to do with soup? That's what I meant to say. What does hippies have to do with soup? Was it there just to make the comic relief a little bit funny? But other than that, I didn't like this episode. This episode gets a 5 out of 10 in my rating. Again, I'll put the link in the description below of where you can download There's a Sponge in My Soup, the English version. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Well, good evening, everyone of the world of YouTube. EB, the Original Master here, and I am very, very happy this evening is because it is finally 8 p.m. and I just finally sat down with Nickelodeon on the TV, clearly, and I saw the new episode, Sports and Spin the Bottle. And now it is time for the review. But before I begin, this will contain spoilers. If you haven't seen the episode, it's not my fault because you guys chose not to see the episode and you guys choose to click on this video to hear the spoilers. So if you haven't seen Sports or Spin the Bottle, I think it's going to be airing again on the other sister network of Nickelodeon, like Nickelodeon East, I guess. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Today, I'm here to give you guys the review. These episodes were pretty, they were actually pretty okay, but that will be told when I review the episode. So let's start off with Spin the Bottle. So Spin the Bottle was the first segment of this new episode. So the beginning of the episode, it starts at the Chum Bucket, right? So instead of doing the traditional SpongeBob theme song because they were doing Kids Choice Awards commercials and whatnot, so they didn't get a chance to show the SpongeBob theme song, which isn't anything special. So the beginning of Spin the Bottle, we get Karen doing some spring cleaning in her house or the Chum Bucket. I mean, I don't know why I said her house. I mean, I said it started in the Chum Bucket, so I should have said the Chum Bucket. But the Chum Bucket is clearly the house of Karen and Plankton. So Karen was doing some spring cleaning or just cleaning around the house until she spotted a bottle. And inside the bottle was Plankton disguised as a genie. So basically, we already start off the episode with the main. So we already got starting out for the action. So Plankton comes out of the bottle, and then he tells Karen his next scheme that he's going to be a genie. So he was going to go to the Krusty Krab or Mr. Krabs' house so he could use this bottle so he could wish him the secret formula. And yes, I told you guys the plot synopsis of my Spin the Bottle discussion video that I done, but then I expanded it a little bit further, talking about it in this episode. So let's cut to the case. SpongeBob happens to find the bottle that Plankton was in, and then he decides to take it to his house. So Plankton finds that SpongeBob got the bottle. Yes, so he basically took it and he goes home with it. He drags it against this wooden fence. Plankton's inside the bottle getting knocked out all over the place. And so SpongeBob comes home and him and Gary plays with the bottle. And then he reads a message saying that there's a genie inside the bottle. He rubs the bottle turns hot, Plankton comes out, burning up, and then he says Alakazam, his old genie phrases and whatnot. So since Plankton is a magical genie, he commands SpongeBob to go to the Krusty Krab so he can get the formula. But SpongeBob said, "Since you're my genie, you might as well give me 3 wishes." So basically, the first wish, they go to Squidward's house for him to see the bottle himself. So Squidward comes out of his house screaming at SpongeBob, and then SpongeBob shows screwing up, Squidward the magic bottle. So Squidward takes the magic bottle, then he wishes himself a golden clarinet. So instead of actually wishing one, Plankton just took out a yellow paint bucket and painted Squidward's clarinet yellow. Really, Nickelodeon, there you go again with the very, very predictable plots and whatnot. But I'm going to let that slide because I'm not going to let that bother me that much. Squidward then finds his little golden clarinet, which is basically painted yellow by Plankton. He plays on it, and then Squidward plays on his little golden clarinet and whatnot. And then Plankton is stuck inside the clarinet, pushing on the valves as Squidward plays on the clarinet. So the next person that SpongeBob showed the magic bottle to is Patrick. So he has Patrick, he's very, very dumb, retarded. And then he wished that he want his hand drawn so he can have a second best friend when SpongeBob isn't around to play with him. Really, Patrick, you're seriously telling me that you have to draw a hand or a face on your hand just because the fact that SpongeBob is not going to be around with you to play with you? Like, seriously, Patrick, you could play by yourself. So then Plankton comes out of the bottle and then he draws a face on Patrick's hand. Patrick goes out of his rock and starts punching his own hand. I don't know why he did that. And then last but not least, SpongeBob takes Plankton's magical bottle to the Krusty Krab, where Mr. Krabs wishes for 1,000 monies, or $1,000 basically. So Plankton goes to the bank, withdraws 1,000 money out of the bank, and gives it to Mr. Krabs. And then so towards the rest of this episode, SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs, Patrick, and Squidward has to play a game of spin the bottle to see who gets the bottle next. So they were fighting for it. And then there's like this really hilarious scene where SpongeBob discusses the rules of spin the bottle, and Patrick's like, and then we kiss. I mean, that had me laughing really hard. That was actually pretty funny. And so they played spin the bottle. First they landed on Squidward, and then Squidward takes the bottle, and then it finally lands on Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs then takes the bottle inside the kitchen. Plankton reveals himself, tells Mr. Krabs the whole scheme, and that's when the real genie came. So the ending of the episode, the real genie traps Mr. Krabs, Plankton, Squidward, and Patrick in the bottle, where SpongeBob finds them inside the bottle, and he thinks that it was a expired ketchup bottle and throws the bottle in the trash can, ending Spin the Bottle. To be honest, you guys, this episode had a really unique concept, but I think the pacing was a little bit slow. I think this whole episode was just SpongeBob and the others interacting with Plankton as the genie, and there was really nothing that much crazy going on. but that's how this entire episode was. It was very slow paced. Not that much good things were happening. The concept was great, but the pacing was a little bit on the slow side. So I'm gonna give Spin the Bottle a 7 out of 10 because it was not a bad episode, but I wish the pacing could have been a little bit faster, and I wish it wasn't just SpongeBob interacting with the bottle that much. I mean, kind of the whole episode was kind of them just talking about the bottle and wishing things. Nothing major big happened. I wish Plankton went inside of a tent or something. They could have used like a magical tent or a, I don't know, like a fortune teller tent or something for Plankton to be as the magical genie. They could have used that, but they chose not to for this episode. So my final rating for Spin the Bottle is a 7 out of 10. Hi you guys, Evie the Original Master here, and I'm back again with another SpongeBob SquarePants review for you guys today. So today I saw the new episode, Man Ray Returns and Larry the Floor Manager. So you're probably asking yourself, this episode is only a few days away of releasing here in the United States. Yes, I know, but thanks again to Just Sponge. He provided the Google Drive link of the full episode, and I watched it. And I have to say that these episodes were actually a little bit promising, but I'm gonna have to tell you guys my thoughts about it. So, in the episode, Man Ray Returns, so Squidward is going on a week off vacation where he could be away from SpongeBob and Patrick. So he then hires somebody to watch over his house while he's gone on his vacation. So the episode begins with SpongeBob and Patrick doing some junior executive club thing. So they were actually looking through the soda cans and whatnot, and so they realized that Squidward was leaving out of his house, and he told SpongeBob and Patrick that he's going for a week-long vacation, where SpongeBob and Patrick thought he was moving out. So yeah, according to the beginning, there's actually a really, really pointless scene of this old lady who took Patrick's wallet from his pants. I thought that was alright, I guess. So it appears that Squidward hired Man Ray to watch over his house while he was gone. I don't know why he hired Man Ray, but it is what it is. To be honest, you guys, this episode really wasn't that much going on. I mean, yes, it was Mermaid Pants and Barnacle Star fighting off Man Ray, but it really wasn't that interesting, to be honest. I mean, there was little to no action going on in the episode. I mean, don't get me wrong, the atmosphere of the episode went to a promising turn towards the climax or towards the ending of the episode when Mermaid Pants and Barnacle Star and let me rephrase that again. When Mermaid Pants, Barnacle Star, and Man Ray was on top of Squidward's house with the stormy weather effect. I mean, that was the only good atmosphere without this episode. Other than that, there really wasn't that much going on. All it was just Man Ray taking over Squidward's house, and Barnacle Star and Mermaid Pants were trying to kick him out. I mean, there were some action going on where they were throwing pieces of Squidward's furniture at Man Ray, but it really wasn't that interesting. And then Man Ray then leaves, and then SpongeBob and Patrick, or Mermaid Pants and Barnacle Star, cleaned up Squidward's house, and then Squidward found out that the house was back to the way it was, until he closed his door and the whole foundation collapsed, ending Man Ray Returns. Man, I'm disappointed. I really am disappointed. I was hoping that this was going to be a really good episode, but I guess I was wrong. I'm sorry. I just don't like Man Ray Returns, you guys. I mean, like I said, there really wasn't that much interesting things going on. Yes, they were fighting Man Ray physically, but the whole battle sequence really wasn't that interesting. It wasn't that great for my taste. So I have to give Man Ray Returns a 6.5 out of 10. Yes, it's another meh rate. It's another meh episode. It's not good. It's not laugh out loud funny. Yes, sorry you guys, I did not like Man Ray Returns at all. It was a 6.5 rating out of my taste, because the fighting sequences really wasn't that big and epic. So let's move on to Larry the Floor Manager. Now this episode is a whole lot better than this first episode, Man Ray Returns. So in Larry the Floor Manager, Mr. Krabs needs a week off. No, not a week off. He just needs a break from managing the Krusty Krab, how busy it is. So he hires Larry to watch over the restaurant. This episode has some really, really funny gags. The beginning of the episode was really, really, really good. It showed Bubble Bass ordering another sandwich for the Krusty Krab, and it was pretty hilarious. So Mr. Krabs just comes out of nowhere and just shoves a Krabby Patty right into Bubble Bass's mouth, and then someone tells Mr. Krabs that's not how he's supposed to treat the customers. So then Larry takes over, and that's where things begins to go really, really chaotic. So Larry turned the whole restaurant into a gym where everybody is eating off of salads and protein shakes. Shmuel took a sip of it. He didn't like it. It was disgusting. And then this whole episode was just flat out hilarious. I love this episode way more than Man Ray Returns. There are a lot more funny gags in this episode. Bubble Bass's moments were pretty funny too. I'm glad that Bubble Bass and SpongeBob are actually teaming up instead of villains like they were in Pickles from the first season. And yes, this episode had some really, really good jokes. I actually laughed out loud where Bubble Bass landed on Squidward and was doing the little hurdles routine. That was actually pretty funny. That was actually really, really hilarious. And yeah, so not gonna review every bit of information about this episode, but I have to give Larry the Floor Manager a 9. Yeah, this episode gets a 9 of how funny it was. I actually enjoyed this better than Man Ray Returns. So that's my review for Man Ray Returns and Larry the Floor Manager. I'll put the link of the Google Drive in the description below. Yes, you can either watch this on Google Drive or Mega. If you don't have Mega, you cannot watch it through your phone. If you watch it through your phone on Mega, you're only going to get the audio, because I've heard from Discord that Reaction Guy and Flash only heard the audio from the latest episode. There's a SpongeBob soup instead of the actual video. So if you're using a cell phone, I think it will only work with Google Plus or Google Drive. I mean, I don't know how it works because I don't look through Google Drive links on my phone. I only look through it through my laptop. But I think your better choice is a laptop. Either a laptop or a desktop. You'll be good to go watching these episodes either on Google Drive. If you don't have a Mega account, then you'll just have to wait on September 30th when Larry the Floor Manager and Man Ray Returns air on Nickelodeon. So with that said, thanks for watching this episode or review. Thanks for watching this review. Yes, Larry the Floor Manager is a lot better than Man Ray Returns, my opinion. And with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Hello everyone, this is Evie, the original master here, and I'm back with another SpongeBob SquarePants review. So today I saw the brand new SpongeBob Halloween stop motion special, The Legend of Bikini Bottom, and I'm here to give out my review of this episode. So this episode came out tonight at 7, and the episode just finished airing, and I'm here to give you guys my honest reviews about it. So this stop motion special was actually pretty okay. It is not the best Halloween special that I've seen from SpongeBob, but the concept was actually pretty interesting towards the second half of the episode after the commercial break. So basically in this episode, SpongeBob is afraid of Halloween, and he gets scared easily on Halloween. So Patrick gives SpongeBob an advice that Halloween means scary equals funny. Basically, that's basically Patrick's motto in this episode for SpongeBob for Halloween. So, yes, this was a stop motion special, meaning that the theme song was stop motion. It was pretty okay. I actually do love the music for this episode. The title card music for The Legend of Bikini Bottom was actually pretty cool. It actually had that nice, spooky Halloween vibe to it, and I actually liked it. So basically, SpongeBob's Halloween costume was a flower, basically. So in the beginning of the episode, it shows the Flying Dutchman ship with the Legend of Bikini Bottom episode title mounted on it. And then we see Bikini Bottom in its Halloween glory. And I actually do love the opening credits for this episode as well. So, Patrick is a knight in this episode. So they go over to Sandy's house where she's an evil scientist. Her name is Frankencheeks, obviously. Yeah, that's basically her name is. And so she creates like this gigantic robotic acorn monster, which SpongeBob was terrified of, and Patrick as well. So Sandy had this game called the Jars of Horror, which had some of the most disgusting gross outs in it. SpongeBob's hands in this episode was actually like this guy like having like some yellow glove mitts and started like moving his fingers around. That was kind of disgusting to see that with noodles. Patrick's brain, that was really disgusting. I mean, this episode did have some gross outs that I really didn't like, but the stop motion was actually pretty okay. So yeah, the Flying Dutchman plays a big role in this episode as well. So he hates it when people laughs on Halloween. So basically, what he does is he then finds SpongeBob, and then he notices that SpongeBob thinks that Halloween equals funny. But my biggest pet peeve of this episode, I really didn't like the ha ha ha's that was coming out of SpongeBob's mouth when he was laughing. I thought that was pretty annoying. But I'm not gonna let that bug me. I wish they should have never added that because we've seen SpongeBob laugh before, and we never had to see the words ha ha coming out of his mouth. That was kind of annoying, but I'm gonna kind of let that slide a little bit. Yeah, so Mr. Krabs, and Plankton actually played a role in this episode where Mr. Krabs had the chum bucket of horrors, while Plankton had the Krusty Krab of horrors. And I actually like the Krusty Krab of horrors better, because the puppets, the way how the scenery and the puppets were done was actually pretty well made. The highlights of this episode was the scare song, sung where Patrick the Pirate sent. Oh, I said Patrick. I'm very sorry. I'm very very sorry. The Flying Dutchman. Yes, the Flying Dutchman took SpongeBob and Patrick on this little roller coaster ride through the Flying Dutchman's ship, where they actually used puppets. They actually used like actual puppets, like what Jim Henson would use for the scare song. That was actually pretty cool. The ending though was actually kind of rushed. I really didn't like the ending for this episode. I mean, it was hilarious, but I think they rushed through the ending. So in the ending, the Flying Dutchman then steals the souls out of Sandy, Mr. Krabs, Plankton, Patrick, and Squidward, and traps them inside of a cage. And that what freaks SpongeBob out the most. So SpongeBob is terrified that the Flying Dutchman took the souls out of his friends, and he puts them in a cage. So basically, SpongeBob then rescues his friends by disguising as the puppet acorn monster that Sandy created in the beginning of the episode. So the Flying Dutchman goes into SpongeBob's brain. It then goes to this really, really cool art style. And that was basically the ending of the episode. So the ending of the episode, the Flying Dutchman was terrified that SpongeBob's brain was filled with all these cute, cuddly things, which is what the Flying Dutchman is terrified of. His weakness is cuteness, because he just wants to see cute, cuddly things on Halloween, basically. So the ending of the episode, SpongeBob saves everyone's souls, and then everyone just goes into the Krusty Krab to celebrate. Yes, the ending really wasn't that great. It was rushed. I think they rushed through the ending. The ending could have been a whole lot better. But yes, I have to give The Legend of Bikini Bottom a 7 out of 10. It was an okay special. It wasn't the greatest things I've seen. There were some funny moments in the episode, but this special was just okay. The ending felt rushed. They could have done something better for the ending, but I guess they really didn't care for the ending, so they kind of rushed through it. Yeah, but I actually did like the concept of the Flying Dutchman stealing their souls, but he's already done that many times in the show, so it's not original, because we already seen the Flying Dutchman took the souls of SpongeBob and Patrick in the episode The Curse of Bikini Bottom. We've already seen him took the souls out of them. So the ending really wasn't original. It was already been done, but it was actually cool to see it in stop motion. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review for The Legend of Bikini Bottom. I guess I'll see you guys next time with more SpongeBob reviews. Thanks for watching. Good evening, everyone. This is EB, the Original Master, and welcome to day 1 of the SpongeBob SquarePants You Bring the Color. Today we got into new episodes, No Pictures Please, and Stuck on the Roof. So I'm here to give you guys a review of this episode, and I will not be reviewing every little bit of information of this episode, but I will review as many things I would like to cover as much as possible. So let's start off with the first episode, No Pictures Please. So this episode was actually really, really good. I actually love this episode. This episode had a lot of great humor. So if you guys don't know, the synopsis of this episode is that a tourist or a tour guide pays a visit to Bikini Bottom, and Patrick becomes a tour guide, and he's going to show this guy around Bikini Bottom. So he's the tourist, and Patrick's the tour guide. So this episode had a lot of great humor in it. I loved the amounts of gags that this episode provided. Like, there's actually one part of the episode where they actually went to Squidward's house when he was taking a bath. I thought that scene right there was actually pretty funny. That was actually a really, really funny scene right there, to see Squidward just opening up all of these random doors in the environment around him. His windows, his house, even the flowers from the sky. Yes, those moments right there was actually pretty funny. I also loved the humor that it provided. So just the opening scene of Patrick trying to rob a bank. That was pretty funny. And I also enjoyed the whole concept of the episode, the title zone. That was a really, really unique plot twist of an episode, and it was actually pretty interesting. I have to give No Pictures Please a 9 out of 10. This episode was very, very funny. I enjoyed it. It was a good episode. So the sister episode, No Stuck on the Roof. This episode was actually okay. It was actually an okay episode. It wasn't bad or meh, but there were actually some really good moments in the episode. So in Stuck in the Roof, SpongeBob accidentally gets stuck on the roof of the Krusty Krab while cooking Krabby Patties at the Krusty Krab. Yes. So the reason why and you're probably asking how he got stuck in the roof in the first place. Well, while he was cooking these Krabby Patties, the Krabby Patties accidentally went up the vent, which will take you up to the roof. The Krabby Patty goes up the vent. SpongeBob ends up traveling inside the vent to get this Krabby Patty, of course. Then he gets stuck on the roof, and he's afraid to come down. So that's the whole reason why SpongeBob got stuck on the roof. Sandy actually did appear in both episodes, but Sandy just randomly just showed up just for a one brief moment. And again, one of her inventions failed on her. What do you know? Sandy is a horrible inventor, so this is why they need to go back to Sandy's karateing days rather than inventions, because she sucks at making inventions. I actually do love some of the gags in this episode. I love the fact that Patrick said, "What are you doing way up here?" And then you just see the Krusty Krab like in a tower format. That was actually really funny. I actually did laugh at that joke. And so the episode ends. It actually had a rainstorm in this. This episode had a lot of weather effects going on. It went from daytime to nighttime to rain, wind. There's a whole bunch of weather events going on in this episode. And yes, the ending was kind of a Squidward torture porn. But overall, I'll give Stuck on the Roof a 7 out of 10. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this very short review of No Pictures Please and Stuck on the Roof. Two pretty interesting episodes. So I won't be reviewing tomorrow's episode, which is There's a Sponge in My Soup, because I've already seen it, and I already gave that episode a meh rating. So on Wednesday, I'll be back with my review on Cuddle E Hugs. With that said, thanks for watching this review, you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Hello, everyone. This is EB, the original master, and it is a Saturday morning. Today it is October 21st, and you know what that means? That means it is time for another SpongeBob review. That's right. We actually got in a new episode this morning, Teacher's Pest and Krabby Patty Creature Feature, and I'll be here to provide you guys a review for this episode, giving out my thoughts on the episodes and my overall rating for them as of now. So, the first segment was Teacher's Pest. I was hoping Krabby Patty Creature Feature would be the first segment, but I guess I was wrong. And this episode wasn't that much amusing, because when I first saw the episode, there really wasn't that much funny things going on in the episode. Most of the scenes were pretty repetitive most of the time, with Mr. Krabs and Plankton driving around in the road and whatnot. But yeah, so technically, basically Mr. Krabs is like driving to work while shaving, and so Plankton decides to like drive in a tank for some odd reason, which I don't know why. But yeah, so the whole beginning of the episode was Mr. Krabs and Plankton driving recklessly, and so they end up going to the boating school because the police officers found out what happened. So this entire episode was basically Mr. Krabs and Plankton competing to amaze Mrs. Puff, who is the boating school instructor. The Good Noodles board from New Student Starfish makes a return in this episode as a reference. And if you guys didn't know how that worked, if you do something good, you'll get a gold star. And of course, SpongeBob had a spaz attack when he realized that his gold star was taken away from that episode. So yeah, Mrs. Puff actually showed like a driving video or something that had SpongeBob in it. Of course, SpongeBob driving recklessly. I mean, it's the same old boating school related stuff of the characters driving recklessly and stuff. It's nothing new, but what this is a nice change. But the whole execution really wasn't that great. I only laughed at a few jokes in this episode, and that was about it. This episode had few little jokes, not laugh out loud jokes. I actually did found the ending to be pretty funny, of SpongeBob just ramming into the back of the boatmobile and just seeing a nuclear explosion, a realistic explosion. And the ending was pretty disturbing to see Mr. Krabs, Plankton, and SpongeBob morphed in together. Kind of reminded me of the ending of Squid Bob Tentacle Pants from the fourth season. Overall, this episode really wasn't that great. It was a meh rating. Don't get me wrong, the concept was great, but the whole execution really wasn't that good. So I have to give Teacher's Pest a 5 out of 10 in my rating. Yes, I'll give it a 5. I was going to give it a 6, but I'll just give it a 5. But not as good as the sister episode, Krabby Patty Teacher. Yeah, I said teacher. Jesus. Sorry about that. Krabby Patty Creature Feature. Now, this episode was a whole lot better than this first episode. In this episode, Mr. Krabs creates a new formula sample with the help of Sandy because these customers actually want a new change to the Krabby Patties, basically. So Sandy helps out by making these new formula to the Krabby Patty, which is this orange morphic Krabby Patty. They eat the patties and they turn into these gigantic Krabby Patty zombie monsters, and SpongeBob's the only one to stop it. Problems with this episode: the two hipster fish, the two radical fishes. I'm gonna call them radical because that's how cool people will say it. They had smartphones. I don't know why. I mean, they really need to stop with the smartphones because Nickelodeon is really using them to the point where it's not interesting. But yeah, that was my only problem with the episode, was them using the smartphones. Other than that, this episode had lots of great visuals of the Krabby Patty monsters. I also loved the Bubble Bass joke of the pickles because when Bubble Bass saw Mr. Krabs, he realized that he was used pickles in this hideous looking costume. So basically, Bubble Bass thought Mr. Krabs was in a costume over the fact that he was actually a Krabby Patty monster. So in order to turn everybody back to normal, SpongeBob realized that the chum from the chum bucket turns everyone back to normal. So what happens, they eat the chum, they vomit out the Krabby Patties that they ate, and then that's how they reverse the spell of the Krabby Patties that Mr. Krabs made along with Sandy's help. The ending of the episode was pretty okay. Everything was back to normal. It's weird because as when everybody left the chum bucket at the end of the episode, it was already daytime, but throughout the episode, it was taking place in a nighttime setting. But yeah, and then Patrick just shows up at the ending and he takes a piece of his body and says, "Have some." He just throws a piece of Krabby Patty at the viewers, ending Krabby Patty Creature Feature. This episode was a lot better than Teacher's Pest. I love the visuals. I love the pickles reference from Bubble Bass. This episode was a really nice, enjoyable watch. Oh yeah, another problem that I had with this episode was the awkward laughing segment when SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs were about to sell the Krabby Patty or give the Krabby Patty to the customer, the two radical fishes. I mean, it kind of reminded me of Face Freeze, and I thought that scene was pretty pointless. Yeah, it was pretty pointless, but yeah. So basically, Teacher's Pest and Krabby Patty Creature Feature had some filler in them, but Krabby Patty Creature Feature, at the end, it was a good episode. 9 out of 10. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review for Teacher's Pest and Krabby Patty Creature Feature. I guess I'll see you guys next time with another SpongeBob review when a new one comes out in the next month with Squid Noir, Stuck in the Roof, No Pictures Please, and many more. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hello, everyone. This is EB, the Original Master here. Liking the new camera angle? Well, today I have some good news to you guys. Today, I'm here to review the two brand new SpongeBob episodes, Sanitation Insanity and Bunny Hunt. But before I get any further, I would like to thank a few of my Discord colleagues who actually provided the link for this episode. Yes, Sanitation Insanity and Bunny Hunt actually aired in a different country. I'm not sure what country it aired in, but it was in English, so I got a chance to watch it today, and I'm here to give you guys my review on it. So, Sanitation Insanity, this episode was actually pretty good. I was afraid that this episode was going to be kind of boring because of the synopsis and whatnot, but the episode turned out to be really funny. So, in this episode, SpongeBob and Squidward was actually taking out trash from the Krusty Krab, and then the trash ends up littering everywhere in the Krusty Krab. So the garbage inspectors came by and tells Mr. Krabs that he needs to clean up the whole Bikini Bottom from all the trash. So Mr. Krabs makes SpongeBob and Squidward do it. So there's a lot of good moments in this episode. There are lots of references from from past episodes in Sanitation Insanity. Remember in my Old Man Patrick review, I mentioned that they referenced the SpongeBob theme song? Well, they did it here again in Sanitation Insanity, but instead of singing the theme song, SpongeBob's holes on the back of his back played the flute at the ending of the theme song, which was pretty cool. I also love the ending where they did a Transformers parody when Patrick didn't want his trash to be collected. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting something else, but the writers did a good job executing this episode, and it was pretty funny. I also loved the doll. There was actually a doll in this episode where Squidward was freaked out about because it was saying some weird things like, I want to get good grades, and talking about he loves him or something. It was really funny. And the ending was actually well executed too. So far, Bunny Hunt. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I'm about to get to Bunny Hunt, but what I meant to say was, in Sanitation Insanity, very sorry for making that huge mistake, was actually better than I expected. This episode gets a 9 out of 10 in my opinion of how great this episode was, from the references and the well-executed jokes. Now we can finally move on to Bunny Hunt. So Bunny Hunt was another good episode that premiered in this other country. So in this episode, Squidward is having a bunny problem in his garden where there's a rabbit going through his garden and eating all of his vegetables. So he tries to get rid of it, but SpongeBob finds out about this rabbit and he wants to keep it as a pet. But SpongeBob thought keeping this rabbit was going to be okay, but it turns out to be that the rabbit keeps eating through SpongeBob's house, so he has to hot sauce proof his house for the bunny not to eat his stuff. So the hot sauce wasn't too good for the rabbit, so he ends up breathing out fire, burning everything. And there was lots of really funny shenanigans going on in this episode. So Patrick came along and he tried to help out SpongeBob with the bunny. And that turned out to be pretty funny as well. I also like the fact that when SpongeBob was going to the bargain mart, no, he wasn't going to the bargain mart. I mean, he did go to the bargain mart to get food for this rabbit, but then he actually went to the pet store to get another rabbit for the rabbit that he already owned that was ravaging through Squidward's garden, and there was like this video game reference to it, which I thought that was pretty cool. And the ending was actually really good as well, where Squidward's house was infested with rabbits, so he gets a sledgehammer, bashes it over his brain. He turns into a rabbit, and then the bunny catcher ended up trying to attack him or something with another sunset ending. So, yeah, this was actually another good episode. I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10 as well. Well, that's my review for Sanitation Insanity and Bunny Hunt. I apologize if I made a couple of errors in my review. I remembered to correct myself. Again, Bunny Hunt is going to be airing in the United States on March 30th, so I will not provide the link at this very moment. I'm sorry if this upsets you guys, but you have to understand that I'm not providing any more links to Google Drive because issues that I had with the past with it. So you'll just have to wait on March 30th if you're from the United States for Bunny Hunt to air, because there is no way I can provide the link without it causing a problem to you guys. So that's the reason why I'm reviewing Bunny Hunt now, is because I've already seen it. And if you guys want to avoid any spoilers of this, please do not watch this video. The reason why I'm doing this review now is because I've already seen it and I want to provide the review uploaded to my channel as soon as possible. So with that said, thanks for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. We did it, guys. We finally made it through the You Bring the Color week of SpongeBob SquarePants. This is day 5, and today I'm here to provide my review on the last episode from the event, Squid Noir, or Noir. I'm going to call it Squid Noir, because that sounds a lot more decent to say instead of Squid Noir. So, Squid Noir was actually a very, very, really good episode. It was actually a really interesting episode. Probably the most unique concept in a while, ever since the concept of Feral Friends. So, in Squid Noir, Squidward, is actually, getting ready for this clarinet recital that he has to go to. I probably must have heard from the episode, but it has to do something with it has to do something with his clarinet, basically. So he plays his clarinet at the Krusty Krab. He practices his clarinet, and then Squidward's clarinet playing isn't very nice. It's very sour, and it's not very pleasant. So Mr. Krabs gets very angry about this, and he then kicks Squidward out of the restaurant and tells him to practice somewhere else. Bubble Bass was actually in this episode. I really do love Nickelodeon bringing back Bubble Bass. Bubble Bass has more screen time than any other minor/side characters, such as Flash the Flounder, who only appeared in his last appearance was in the Bully episode from the 3rd season. But Bubble Bass is getting a lot of attention, which I really enjoy. And he actually had a really big plot in this episode as well. He's shown in a comic book store showing his friends this action figure that he owns, and then it ends up breaking throughout the episode, so he gets very upset about it. And so then Squidward's clarinet gets missing, and then everything goes into a black and white setting. This is where the episode gets really, really interesting, because I really do love the black and white tone that they did for this episode. It really felt like a detective episode. In fact, it was a detective episode where everything was in black and white. So Squidward then investigates all around Bikini Bottom to find out who stole his clarinet, who has taken it. So while everything is in black and white, SpongeBob and Patrick tags along to help Squidward find his missing clarinet. And then it turns out to be that at the end of the episode that the jellyfishes in Jellyfish Fields has taken the clarinet, and then they were having like a jazz party or something in Jellyfish Fields. And this is where my pet peeve of the episode came along. When they revealed Squidward having his clarinet, they went ahead and they included the colored images that was done in Squid Noir. So they didn't use the original animation, which is very disappointing. But other than that, the animation wise was great, but I really wish that they didn't include the flashing color animation that the viewers done for the You Bring the Color event. They should have sticked with the original animation coloring for this episode. I think Squid Noir is basically the main event for You Bring the Color, because this was the only episode outside the theme song that they actually use flashing colors in the animation. So Squidward gets his clarinet back. He then performs at the jazz festival at Jellyfish Fields, ending Squid Noir. Squid Noir was a really good episode, you guys. 9 out of 10. Very good episode. I loved Bubble Bass's role in this episode of him and SpongeBob fighting each other with the little toys, action figures. But that color flashing animation at the end was kind of a pet peeve, but it really didn't bother me that much. It wasn't that big of a deal, but at least they didn't add it throughout the whole episode. I'm glad they only used it for that one scene. But yeah, that's my review on Squid Noir and my review overall of the You Bring the Color event. This week was actually pretty good, and I don't know what episode is planning to come out next, but I'll let you guys know in a future video. With that said, thanks for watching my review on Squid Noir, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Hi you guys, Evie the Original Master here, and welcome to day 4 of the SpongeBob SquarePants You Bring the Color. So today I saw Scavenger Pants. It just ended a few minutes ago, and I'm here to give you my review of this episode. Guys, I have to say that this episode was rather weak in my opinion. I just got done watching it, and to be honest, the episode did have some really good visuals, and it had some really good, moments in it, but overall, there really wasn't that much jokes in the episode. So in this episode, Squidward takes SpongeBob and Patrick, or makes them go on a scavenger hunt, just for him to get them out of his hair. So basically, Squidward takes SpongeBob and Patrick out on this massive scavenger hunt, just for them not to annoy him. And it's just the same old plots where Squidward is trying to get SpongeBob and Patrick away from his mind. And it's been done a lot in the series. But the only good thing about this episode was the visuals, such as the desert scene where they were going to search for a sandwich. It had a really nice visual, had very nice visuals in it. I also like the visuals of them finding the Loch Ness Monster. That had some really good. The scenery was actually really good in that scene right there. But overall, there really wasn't. None of the jokes in the episode actually made me laugh. I mean, it wasn't funny, to be honest, but I have to give Scavenger Pants a meh rating. I'm sorry, you guys. The reason why I have to give it a meh rating is because that I just watched it. Um, there really wasn't that things to laugh at, to be honest. There really wasn't that great jokes in it. I mean, I did like the numbskulls part. You have to keep your skull. Yeah, as Patrick says, we're numbskulls. I think that was the only joke that was pretty laughable. But other than that, this episode was just It's not the best season 11 episode, but it's just meh for me. So I have to give Scavenger Pants a 4 out of 10 in my rating. If you guys have a different opinion, I will highly accept it. But I just didn't like Scavenger Pants. It was just a little bit boring for my taste. Good visuals, but rest of it was just boring. Well, it was good to see Squidward's mom again. Yeah, so basically Squidward's mom made an appearance in this episode, and just because Squidward wants them to find his brother, and it turned out to be that Squidward's mom adopted SpongeBob and Patrick to be their brother, Squidward's brother, and so they go get their pictures taken ending Scavenger Pants. But yeah, so, since I got that taken care of away, I can finally discuss the ending for Cuddle E Hugs. I promise you guys that I will provide the ending for the episode, and I actually did see the ending because somebody actually sent out the Google Drive link for Cuddle E Hugs. So I clicked on the link, skipped over to the ending, and the ending was actually pretty good. So the ending for Cuddle E Hugs, basically, SpongeBob takes Cuddle E Hugs to the Krusty Krab, and he feeds everyone the moldy Krabby Patty so they could see Cuddly Hugs himself. Cuddly Hugs then turns into a psycho and starts eating everyone. He starts tossing everyone into his mouth because apparently he's supposed to be an evil person, I guess. Or, well, he's a hamster. Well, he's not a person, but an evil hamster. That's what I meant to say. An evil hamster. He eats everyone. It turned out to be that it was a dream. And so the ending of Cuddly Hugs shows Cuddly Hugs in a cage and this realistic bedroom. Very good visuals. So the ending was actually pretty good. So I have to change. So I'm gonna change my rating for Cuddly Hugs. I'm gonna give it a low good because the ending was actually really good. I actually did love the dark twist of Cuddly Hugs turning into a evil psychopath and eating everyone. That was actually a pretty nice dark ending. I mean, the ending wasn't dark, but the scene of him eating one of his friends was actually dark because he's evil. He turns against evil. He eats everybody. But yeah, so I'm gonna give Cuddly Hugs a low good since I changed my rating, and Scavenger Pants a meh rating. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review for Scavenger Pants, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with the last day of You Bring the Color, which is Squid Noir, which is the episode that I'm really, really am looking forward to. If they screw Squid Noir up, I'm gonna be very disappointed because this is the episode that everything is gonna be in black and white. So with that said, thanks for watching this review, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Hello everyone, this is Evie, the original master here, and welcome to day 3 of my SpongeBob SquarePants You Bring the Color event review week. So today, the new episode, Cuddle E Hugs, has aired today at 7, and you're probably asking, what happened to day 2's review? Well, I told you guys in my announcement video regarding to the You Bring the Color that There's a Sponge in My Suit was actually the premiere on Tuesday, and I've already seen it, and I gave that episode a meh rating. So today I'm here to review Cuddle E Hugs, the new episode that came out tonight at 7. So let's begin. So basically in Cuddle E Hugs, SpongeBob gets hallucinated while eating a moldy Krabby Patty. So basically he's at the Krusty Krab cleaning everything, and then he spots a moldy Krabby Patty, and SpongeBob thought that throwing it away, done by Squidward, wasn't a good idea because he likes to eat Krabby Patties no matter what. Either they're moldy or they're fresh. He eats Krabby Patties no matter what. So he eats the moldy Krabby Patty, he becomes sick, and then since he eats this Krabby Patty, he becomes so sick that he ends up seeing a giant hamster in the name of Cuddle E Hugs. So, yes, Cuddle E Hugs, I really do love his character. He has this very, very nice, charming voice, and it actually fits his character. Then bring it in for the real deal. Yeah, that quote from the episode. I actually love that quote. That quote was actually pretty funny. I really did love the montage of Cuddle E Hugs and SpongeBob having fun together. And since SpongeBob can only see Cuddle E Hugs, his friends cannot, because this Krabby Patty that he ate makes him very sick. he can't basically see anything. He basically sees cuddly hugs, where his friends can't see him. They can't see cuddly hugs because SpongeBob thinks they think SpongeBob is crazy and he needs like to go see a doctor or something. But I'm just saying that because that's how it is in the way how I see it. So then SpongeBob shows cuddly hugs to his friends. His friends can't see him, obviously. Sandy actually made another returning appearance. Yeah, Sandy actually came back for cuddly hugs. It's weird. I mean, it kind of I kind of predicted that Sandy would be in the episode, and I was right. So SpongeBob tells Sandy that he is friends with cuddly hugs, and then Sandy tells SpongeBob that it's okay to have imaginary friends, and it's weird coming from Sandy because that's what kids like. Seriously, what is Sandy supposed to be teaching SpongeBob? Is Sandy supposed to be like SpongeBob's supportive mom or something? Why does Sandy think it's okay to say SpongeBob saying, "Oh, it's okay to have imaginary friends"? Boy, SpongeBob is an adult. He's in his 30s. Why do you think he needs an imaginary friend? I mean, it's weird, but hey, it's SpongeBob, and SpongeBob likes those type of things. So long story short, I didn't see the ending of Cuddly Hugs is because I was briefly interrupted when I was watching Cuddly Hugs, so I didn't get a chance to see the ending. But thanks to some friends on Discord, I actually saw a glance, sneak little peek picture of the ending, and it actually shows Cuddly Hug and the Krusty Krab eating the moldy Krabby Patty, and I believe that the ending is he eats the moldy Krabby Patty, he vanishes, and then Small doesn't see him anymore. That's what I think the ending is. But if I get the full ending of Cuddly Hugs, I'll probably come back tomorrow in my Scavenger Pants review and I'll squeeze in the ending for Cuddly Hugs at the ending of my Scavenger Pants review once I get a chance to see it again, if somebody has the link for it. If Nickelodeon uploads Cuddly Hugs on their YouTube, I'm about to say YouTube channel. I mean, if Nickelodeon uploads Cuddly Hugs on their website, the Nickelodeon website, I'll go back, watch Cuddly Hugs, skip to the ending, and see what the ending really is. But as of now, Cuddly Hugs is an okay episode. I'll give this episode, as everything I've seen, a 7. Cuddly Hugs gets a 7.5. I'll just give it a 7.5. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review for Cuddly Hugs. I'm sorry I didn't give you guys a brief ending or review of the ending, but you guys understand that I had to guess the ending is because I didn't fully see it because I was briefly interrupted. But with that said, thanks for watching this review of Cuddly Hugs, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with Scavenger Pants. Goodbye. Hi you guys, Evie the Original Master here, and I am back again with a new SpongeBob SquarePants review. Today it is Saturday, December 2nd, 2017, and I'm here to review the new episode of SpongeBob, Pat the Horse. So before I get any further with this episode, The Incredible Shrinking Sponge actually finally aired here in the United States, ending off the 10th season, and after seeing it again for a second time, the episode was just still okay for my taste. Nothing special happened. I mean, it still delivered some good humor, but Pat the Horse was actually better in my opinion, and I think others might agree with me on that as well. So in Pat the Horse, Patrick wants to become a horse after hearing a bedtime story from SpongeBob. Yes, the opening scene was actually enjoyable to see SpongeBob reading Patrick a bedtime story. So he pulls out a book that says you can be anything you want to be. SpongeBob pointed out a firefighter, a cowboy, and a doctor. Well, I said it in the wrong order. It was basically a firefighter, a doctor, then a cowboy, and then Patrick wanted to be the horse, not the cowboy, which was kind of funny. So Patrick wants to become a horse, and then that's what this whole episode delivered. Patrick becoming a horse, or pretending to be a horse. So, one thing that I didn't like about this episode is Mr. Krabs' greed. So Mr. Krabs was actually greedy in this episode because he used Patrick to set up like a kid horse ride for him to earn money. Again, I don't understand why they want Mr. Krabs to be greedy that way, but that's just how he is. So while SpongeBob was riding Patrick as a horse, Sandy was in this episode. She only had brief cameos. We first saw her carrying a bag of nuts, so we saw her again. That I will discuss future on. So what I loved about this episode was the visuals. I loved the wild western setting where Patrick was at. So Patrick, since Patrick was being used for money, Patrick just gallops away, far away from Bikini Bottom, into this wild western setting. And I love the visuals that they used for a orange sky instead of the traditional blue bikini bottom sky that they usually use for the episodes. I love the ending for the episode as well, where Mr. Krabs and Patrick and SpongeBob was the horse race at the end was really good. I do love the ending of the episode where Mr. Krabs used Squidward as a horse and SpongeBob used Patrick as a horse, and they had a horse race to deliver a Krabby Patty to an anglerfish. They played William Tell's Overtune, the finale version, which I also use in my Plankton Rise Again episode from the Roblox series. That was a really good song of choice for a Wild Western horse race like that, like the one that they had. The ending was very good as well. I love the sunset that they did at the ending. Pretty cool visuals. I love it when they end off the episode with a sunset. It really puts you into the mind of a Wild Western type of episode. Overall, Pat the Horse was a very good episode. I love the visuals. I love the humor. I didn't like Mr. Krabs' using Patrick for greed. That was the only problem that I had with the episode. Other than that, the episode was a 9 out of 10. Very, very good episode. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my review for Pat the Horse from SpongeBob. And I'll see you guys next time with a new review when a new episode is planned to come out. Bye. Good evening, everyone. This is Evie, the original master here. And today is day 1 of the SpongeBob I Heart SpongeBob. Well, yeah, that's basically what it was. And today, we're going to wrap up or discuss the first episode of this event, Chatterbox Gary and Don't Feed the Clowns. And boy, were these episodes so great. So, in Chatterbox Gary, Gary gets a pet translator collar, which makes him speak. And the episode was really, really funny. I loved the concept of Gary learning how to speak. That was a really creative concept. And it actually worked out pretty well. So the episode begins with SpongeBob and Gary in SpongeBob's house, obviously. It was taking place in SpongeBob's house at the beginning, where him and Gary were reading through a book. And then Gary ended up attacking SpongeBob, and SpongeBob couldn't understand what he wanted. So Gary tells SpongeBob that he needs a pet translating collar. So SpongeBob orders one. He puts it on Gary. Gary starts talking up a storm, and Squidward is annoyed by it. My biggest problem with this episode is the fact that they keep bringing back Sandy. Sandy had no purpose for this episode. I mean, they just threw her just to have her there. I mean, she had like a nut translator or something, and that was, it was all right, I guess. But the ending, though, the execution of Squidward seeking revenge, instead, he breaks into SpongeBob's house during the night, takes Gary's pet translator collar and places it with his own with the walkie-talkie on it. And yeah, it was pretty funny. And the ending was actually really, really good. I love the ending of the episode where SpongeBob's pineapple home was on top of a hill because Squidward told Gary, or SpongeBob, since he has the walkie-talkie pet translator collar, to push his pineapple home up the hill. And then the ending kind of reminded me of Home Sweet Rubble and Home Sweet Pineapple, but the way how it was executed was really good. The ending was really funny where Squidward kept meowing because Gary was now using the walkie-talkie after he realized that it was Squidward who caused it, and everyone started attacking Squidward. All the pets attacked Squidward because they hated the sound of meowing cats. So they attacked Squidward. The ending was actually well executed. Good episode, 9 out of 10. Don't Feed the Clowns was an amazing episode as well. The title card music, I have no idea what the name of the title card music is. I might ask a friend of mine about that. But the title card music was really good. It really felt really upbeat, circusy, very good song in the title card music. And the clowns that were introduced were really, really great. I love the Ringmaster. The Ringmaster was hilarious. He used a fish as a whip and started whipping the clowns for them to do their acts and tricks. So this one clown, who was a small clown, was getting bullied at the circus. So all the other clowns were taller than him. And so they were like bullying him. So SpongeBob wanted to take care of the clown, but the Ringmaster kept saying, "Don't feed the clowns," because that's the whole motto of the episode. So the clown was hungry, SpongeBob tried to feed it, and then whenever the Ringmaster got angry, his mouth just like stretched out in these weird forms, which made the episode hilarious. So SpongeBob gives the clown a new job by working at a business place, a bakery, a firefighter. All of the jobs went horribly wrong, and then all of the managers and the bosses were just these fat, oversized people telling the clown that he was fired. And the way how their mouths moved when they said you're fired was on point. Very cartoony, very well executed, and the ending was really, really good. I loved how SpongeBob takes the clown to this whole new area, or this whole new magical place where all the other clowns were nice to him. So the clown waved goodbye to SpongeBob, threw a pie at him, and SpongeBob laughed, ending off Don't Feed the Clowns. Both of these episodes were really, really good. I love them so much, and I cannot wait for Drive Happy tomorrow, which is going to be great, because after the premiering of Don't Feed the Clowns and Chatterbox Gary, they showed a clip of Drive Happy, which looks pretty funny. So, hope you guys enjoyed my review on the 2 new episodes on the first day of the iHeart SpongeBob week, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with Drive Happy. Peace. Hello everyone, EB the Original Master here, and welcome to day 2 of the iHeart SpongeBob week. Today I'll be reviewing Drive Happy. So without further ado, let's begin. So this episode, SpongeBob gets a self-driving car because he could basically drive wherever he goes. So the episode begins with him at a car dealership, and he was pretending to drive one of the cars at the car dealership, and actually one of the workers there was a shark. So he gives SpongeBob a self-driving car named Coupe, which is a silver titanium car that speaks. And so far the episode began pretty okay, and then the self-driving car turned evil against SpongeBob throughout the remaining of the episode. This episode kind of was funny at moments, but there were some times where I was kind of bored with the episode. I really didn't like the concept of the car turning evil and trying to get SpongeBob to do whatever he wants. Like, basically, the car kept driving around to these places that SpongeBob doesn't want to be. In fact, after SpongeBob got the self-driving car, he was out in the rain, and I guess that was pretty funny, I believe. I mean, it wasn't that funny. It kind of reminded me of Gone, where SpongeBob became friends with that one boatmobile that he got, and he kept crashing into his house and whatnot. But other than that, this episode really was just okay. It wasn't the greatest. It wasn't as funny as Don't Feed the Clowns that we got yesterday. But overall, I'm going to give my rating on Drive Happy I'll probably give it a 7. It's an alright, it's an okay episode. And yeah, I'm sorry, but this episode was just okay. I just didn't like the fact that the car had to turn evil, and this was Mr. Krabs' second appearance in the what I was going to say was that this is his second appearance not being in any of the new episodes, meaning he wasn't there at all in any of these episodes. They went to the Krusty Krab, but Mr. Krabs was nowhere to be found. So they didn't have Mr. Krabs in the episode, so Clancy Brown wasn't there to provide his role, but Squidward was in the episode. And yeah, so Drive Happy, it was just alright. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review on Drive Happy. Tomorrow I'll be reviewing Old Man Patrick. So if you guys heard that was a truck outside. Apologize. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with my review on Old Man Patrick. Peace. Hello there, everyone. EB the Original Master here, and welcome to day 3 of the iHeart SpongeBob week. Today we're here to review Old Man Patrick. But before I begin, I'd like to thank you guys for 2K subscribers. Yes, I've just reached 2K last night. I didn't notice that because when I woke up this morning, I noticed that I had 2,001 subscribers, and now I'm at 2,007. So I'd like to thank you guys so much for the subscribers and supporting this channel. And happy Valentine's Day, by the way. So let's begin with my review on Old Man Patrick. Guys, this episode was really not that great. I mean, it was so boring. I mean, there were some really good things about this episode. I have to say that my favorite part of this entire episode is when when SpongeBob tried to show Patrick how young he could be again. And I'm gonna tell you guys that in a second here. But in Old Man Patrick, it makes absolutely no sense. So SpongeBob and Patrick are at the swimming pool. They're at the swimming pool. And then so they were playing Marco Polo, and there's this dumb gag where Marco, who is this weird Italian fish guy, who keeps freaking out over the fact that people keeps calling his name. It wasn't funny at the slightest. I thought it wasn't even that funny. I thought the joke was pretty bland and not well executed. but I really didn't like that part. And then so when Patrick heard that Shady Shoals retirement home had to leave, they were having like prune ice cream or something. So Patrick just runs into the bus to Shady Shoals retirement home, and then he stays there for too long, and he just turns into an old man. It's not funny. And then so when SpongeBob goes to Shady Shoals to find that Patrick is there, old and whatnot, they did a really cool reference to the SpongeBob theme song. I have to give the episode that bit of credit for them to pull off something like that. I actually really like that gag a lot. I'm not gonna say gag. I'm gonna say a reference. It was a really good reference. And another reference that Bunny Buns made a return appearance, because we haven't seen Bunny Buns since Midlife Crustacean from season 3. So it was good to see that returning, but we didn't see the giant bunny with the accordion that we saw in Midlife Crustacean. But other than that, the episode was really boring. It wasn't funny at the slightest. So just because of the theme song reference and Bunny Buns making a surprise return, this episode gets a low, let me think of a rating for this. I'm gonna put it as meh. I was gonna put it as bad, but because of how boring it was and because of the unnecessary gross outs and whatnot, I really didn't like Old Man Patrick at all. It was rather boring. There was no jokes at all. The Marco Polo joke was not funny at all. The stupid mother, that random pink fish mother, whoever she was, who keeps taking the kids away, that was totally unnecessary. I didn't like that at all. The kids screaming when Patrick smacked the cane off the animatronic's head and landed on the kid's pizza. That was kind of funny, but it really wasn't. This episode was just boring. It was a big bore fest. Old Man Patrick was not good at all, so I'm gonna just give it a mid just for the heck of it. I was gonna give it a bad, but since they brought back Bunny Buns and they referenced the SpongeBob theme song, I'm gonna just give the episode a meh. Well, tomorrow we got Fun Size Friends on Thursday. So again, thanks for 2K. Happy Valentine's Day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with Fun Size Friends. Good evening, everyone. EB the Original Master here, and welcome to day 4 of the I Heart SpongeBob week. So today's episode, I'll be reviewing Fun Sized Friends. So without further ado, let's begin. So this episode was actually really good. I actually just got done watching it, and I have to say that this episode was actually pretty funny. So if you guys don't know the synopsis for this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick exchange miniature versions of themselves for a day. Or not for a day, basically like for the whole week or something, but that's not what the whole plot was. It was just them exchanging miniature versions of themselves, basically. So the beginning of the episode was actually pretty strange to see SpongeBob and Patrick like making pancakes or something. Like it starts off, it was evening, so you just see Patrick just like randomly screaming out "batter up" for some reason. If you guys haven't seen the episode, please do not click on this video because it contains spoilers. Well, only a few spoilers. I'm not going to spoil everything, but I'm just going to tell you guys some of my favorite parts about this episode. So how do they get the miniature version of themselves, actually? So Squidward heard their little commotion, and so he tells them to cut it out, meaning they need to stop being childish. So SpongeBob then just like gets a pair of scissors and just clips a piece off of himself, and then creates like a miniature version of himself. So Patrick did the same thing too. So the miniature SpongeBob and Patrick's in this episode were actually pretty funny. I actually loved their character traits. Of course they couldn't speak English. They speak like in a higher pitched gibberish voice. It's supposed to be cartoony, so I'm gonna give them plus with that. And overall, the episode was really, really good. I like the fact how they try to parody Gulliver's Travels, where the miniature SpongeBob and Patrick tied up their creators or their owners because they're treating them like garbage. So I actually loved how SpongeBob took care of the miniature Patrick. He was actually my favorite character because he had some really funny facial expressions. It was actually really cartoony as well, and the ending was actually pretty hilarious too, to see SpongeBob and Patrick making a miniature pineapple and a rock for them to live in, since they can't live in the big world like they were supposed to be. So overall, this episode was pretty good. I'm gonna give Fun Size Friends an 8. Yeah, I'm gonna give it you know what? I think an 8 is a little bit too low. I'm gonna give it a 9.5. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9.5. It was a great, good episode. So, yeah, that's all I'm gonna tell you guys for now on Fun Size Friends. If you haven't seen it yet, Most likely it'll probably air sometime in your country, but right now it's airing here in the US. And if you guys haven't seen the episode, most likely it'll be on the Nick app when they upload it. But please do not ask me for the links to these episodes because I do not have the links. Well, that's my review on Fun Size Friends. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the last day of the event with Grandmom's The Word. And actually, I saw clips of it after Fun Size Friends, because after the premiere of every episode from the iHeart SpongeBob, I was right, iHeart SpongeBob, they show a sneak peek of the next episode for the next day, which is Grandmom's The Word. So I'll see you guys next time with that review. Peace. Well, hello everyone. This is Evie, the original master here, and welcome to the fifth and final day of the iHeart SpongeBob week. So today, I just saw Grandmom's The Word, and you're probably asking, the reason why this upload is up a little bit later is because I didn't see this episode when it first aired because of personal things. But thanks to one of my Discord friends, they provided the link for this episode. They actually recorded the episode, and so I was able to see it. So thanks for that person who recorded this episode for me and a few others who haven't seen the episode. So in Grandmom's The Word, Plankton's grandmother makes a return appearance from Grandma's Secret Recipe. So in this episode, she wants Plankton to own the Krusty Krab for her 90th birthday. So the beginning of the episode was actually pretty sexual, where Karen and Plankton were having like a sex moment when they're in the tub together. So then yeah, they were trying. It's supposed to be like a sex scene or something, but they were just kissing. And I'm gonna say sex scene because hey, whatever. So Plankton then lies to his grandmother that he owns the Krusty Krab. So he gets Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, and Plankton. Sorry, let me rephrase that again. He gets SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs, and Squidward to help him build the Krusty Krab as his own, that he owns it. So yeah, the episode was okay. Plankton's grandmother in this episode was she actually did turn evil at the end. Well, of course she is evil because she's her and Plankton are related because they're family members, and Plankton is her grandson. So of course she will steal the Krabby Patty Treat formula. And yes, Mr. Krabs knew that this whole setup was just for her to steal the Krabby Patty Treat formula. In fact, Mr. Krabs was actually able to give her the formula. And then when she got to Shady Shoals retirement home, she fell asleep, and Mr. Krabs gave her prune juice, and ending off Grandmom's The Word. Overall, Grandmom's The Word was okay. It wasn't the greatest episode of the whole iHeart SpongeBob week, but it was an okay episode in my opinion. No, it wasn't good, it wasn't great, it was just okay. It's my opinion. I mean, there were some funny things in it, but it wasn't that laugh out loud funny, but it was still okay. So I'm gonna give my rating for Grandmom's The Word a 7.5 out of 10. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review on all 5 episodes of the iHeart SpongeBob week, or all 5 days of the SpongeBob week, iHeart SpongeBob. There's going to be a new episode next Saturday, which is going to be Sanitation Insanity and Bunny Hunt, which I'll be reviewing on that day. So, thank you guys for supporting all of my reviews on the iHeart SpongeBob week, and I guess I'll see you guys next time with my review on Sanitation Insanity and Bunny Hunt, which will be my next SpongeBob review. Peace. Good evening, everyone. This is Evie, the original master here, and today I am here to review another SpongeBob episode. That's right, you guys. Today we got our hands on the new episode, Doodle Dimension. The episode just got done, and I have to give you guys my thoughts about this episode. So, this episode was actually really, really good. It was actually a really creative episode of SpongeBob and Patrick traveling to a different dimension based off of doodles and drawings. So, at first, I didn't expect this episode to be the way how it was. I mean, I understood the whole doodle concept, but Sandy actually had an important role in this episode, and I'm actually glad that they made another Sandy-related episode. Even though Sandy wasn't involved in the whole doodle world, but she was responsible for the dimension, or the portal, whatever you want to call it. Well, basically, this portal is just one of her stupid little hamster wheel things, and she just, like, creates a portal out of it. So SpongeBob and Patrick goes inside this portal, and they're transformed or transported to a doodle world. Sorry if I said transformed. I just get words confused, but it doesn't matter. So this episode was really creative. Doodle Bob made a return appearance. In fact, this is his first appearance since Frankendoodle from the second season. I love the really creative concept of SpongeBob and Patrick creating a doodle army to save Patrick from Doodle Bob. So Doodle Bob kidnaps Patrick and takes him into a castle, and so they have to fight him off by creating Doodle Army basically. So SpongeBob Patrick makes a Doodle Mr. Krabs, Doodle Squidward, Doodle Gary, and they all attack Doodle Bob. It was really, really good. I actually loved the live action segment of this episode. If you guys didn't know that Vincent Waller was actually the hillbilly cowboy guy from this episode who was eating some walnuts, and then of course Sandy took them. If you haven't seen the episode, don't blame me. It's not my fault. You guys didn't know about this, and if it's too late, it'll probably come out again some other time. But overall, Dual Dimension was a really good episode. I have to give this episode a perfect 10. Yes, I actually really liked this episode. It was really creative. I love the fact that Doodle Bob made a surprise return, and the way how they used Doodle Bob was really, really good. And then the ending animation of Doodle Bob drawing the word at the end was actually really cool too. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review for Doodle Dimension. Next Friday, there's going to be another new episode. It's going to be Moving Bubble Bass, which I'll be reviewing next Friday. So, hope you guys enjoyed my review for Doodle Dimension, and I'll see you guys then. Peace. Hello there, boyos. This is EB, the original master here, and it is time for another SpongeBob review. That's right, you guys. So, tonight at 6:30, we got our hands on the new episode, Moving Bubble Bass, from Season 11, and I'm here to give you guys my review on it. So, my overall thoughts for this episode, that it was an alright episode. There were some things in the episode that I enjoyed, and there were some things that I kind of disagree on or disliked, but that's why I'm here to give you guys the idea for it. So, the whole synopsis for this episode is that SpongeBob and Patrick helps Bubble Bass moves out of his mom's basement to go over to his grandmother's basement. So, basically, he was going to give them free lunch if they helped him move out of his house. So that was the whole deal that they had. So SpongeBob and Patrick helped Bubble Bass move out of his house, and there were some actually really funny things about this episode. The cartooniness in this episode was beyond par. It was some really good cartoon visuals. One of my favorite moments of this episode was the beginning of the episode where Bubble Bass was was having an imaginary talk show host with a Krabby Patty. I wasn't expecting that, but it was actually a pretty good introduction. And Bubble Bass's mom in this episode really wasn't that bad, actually. I was afraid of her design, that they're going to do something like disgusting or anything, but she kind of looked normal to me. A lot of returning characters came for this episode, such as the weird lady fish from Krusty Catering. She actually appeared in this episode. Another facial expression I want to mention was this really weird realistic face that Patrick had when he notices that Bubble Bass ate the free lunch that he demanded them, or was going to promise to give them after they moved out of his house, or moved the things out of his house into his grandmother's house. Well, he was basically living in his mom's house in the basement, and yeah, so that's basically what I meant to say, but you get the idea. Overall, this episode was alright. It wasn't the greatest thing, but it was quite entertaining. I have to give this episode an 8. Yes, I'm going to give it an 8 because it wasn't as grand as Doodle Dimension, but it still provided the entertainment that I wanted to see for SpongeBob, and it finally delivered it to us. There was also a gag in this episode where there was these babies who was trying, I don't know, to ignore. Oh wait, let me rephrase this again. I don't even know what I'm saying. So there's these babies in this episode where it was like the gag of the episode where SpongeBob and Patrick tried to avoid because either they're trying to get away from the babies or the babies don't have nothing to do with the plot. But overall, the episode gets an 8 out of 10 in my book. Well, that's my review for Moving Bubble Bass, you guys. There isn't going to be a new episode next Friday. The next episode is Bunny Hunt, which is coming on March 30th, which is the Friday after this. Yeah, basically. So I'll see you guys then on that review, and thanks for being supportive, and I'll see you guys next time. Hello, everyone. This is EB, the original master here, and it is time for the brand new episode of SpongeBob to be reviewed this evening, High Sea Diving. So yes, I'm here to review it, and I'm here to give you guys my final opinions on this episode, or my honest opinions. So without further ado, let's begin. So, the synopsis for this episode: SpongeBob SquarePants wants to be the first sponge to dive up to the surface of the ocean. And before I get any further with the synopsis, this isn't anything new. We have seen SpongeBob up in the surface before, and many times. And it's funny how they claim that SpongeBob is going to be the first sponge, but he's the only sponge that we know of in Bikini Bottom. So technically, the synopsis is a little bit misleading, but the whole episode itself turned out to be a really fun ride. I love the pollution reference. Yes, there's actually a pollution reference of this episode where SpongeBob found garbage above the ocean because lots of people drop garbage in the ocean, you know? And some things that I really didn't understand about this episode was that they threw in Sandy once again for just this one-liner. I mean, I honestly don't know why they keep... I mean, look, I appreciate Sandy returning in the episodes and whatnot, but to be honest, she could have never been there. She should have never been there. She was just there to get some up and advice, and why not? I mean, it was good to see her again, but it was just a really dumb cameo of her. Bubble Bass came back. I'm glad to see him again. So, when SpongeBob go up... sorry about that. Let me rephrase this again. So, when SpongeBob went up to the surface, he found Old Man Jenkins, who was up there. And when they were up there, they were fighting each other with the trash above the surface, and they were dropping them down to Bikini Bottom, where everybody else thought it was Neptune up there throwing them nice things. So that's basically the rest of this episode was the garbage coming down from the surface, and everyone thinking that they're nice treasures. And then at the end, the real Neptune came back. I'm actually glad that Neptune came back, because we haven't seen him since Trident Trouble from Season 10, and High Sea Diving is the Season 11 episode, so it was actually good to see Neptune back again, you know? I mean, it's cool to see all these cameos of all these good characters, and the episode turned out to be really, really good. I actually like this episode. It's not the best of the season, but it was actually pretty entertaining for my taste. So for my final rating, I'll give this episode I'll give it a 8.5 out of 10. Well, that's my review for High Sea Diving. I don't want to provide as much as information as possible because this is a new episode. Sorry if I spoke a little bit too fast, you guys. It's because that I've reviewed the episode after seeing it, and now I just need to get this uploaded to YouTube, and I need to put out my Twitter review on it. So with that said, this episode was pretty good. And I'll see you guys next time with Bottle Burglars on Friday the 13th. April 13th to be exact. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Hello everyone, EB the original master here. And happy Friday the 13th to all you guys who was watching this review. So today I'm here to review the brand new SpongeBob episode of Bottle Burglars that came out tonight at 6:30. And I'm here to give you guys my review on it. So in this episode, SpongeBob and Squidward must retrieve the Crab Predator Secret formula from Plankton when Squidward accidentally dumped it outside as trash. So this episode had some really, really good things about it. The one thing that I want to point out is some of the Easter eggs that this episode provided. One Easter egg, they actually had the date, the month, and the year of when SpongeBob first aired on television, which was May 1st, 1999, which was a really cool Easter egg. Doodle Bob actually made an Easter egg in this episode as well, where Squidward was pushing the button to receive the security camera of how the formula got stolen in the first place. And there's also a reference to Wet Painters, where SpongeBob found Mr. Krabs' first dollar, which was actually a pretty cool reference to Wet Painters. And now moving on to some of the highlights of this episode. The highlights of this episode was SpongeBob and Squidward teaming up, trying to get the formula back from Plankton, which was pretty cool. I actually love the amount of rooms that they gave for the Chum Bucket. Like, the Chum Bucket was a lot bigger than in any other episode, because we got to see more of the Chum Bucket in Bottle Burglars, more than any other episode that we've seen. We saw Plankton in Karen's bedroom, which was pretty interesting. We also saw the return of Spot, who was actually their little guard dog or whatnot. I'm glad Spot came back for a third time in SpongeBob, first being in Plankton's pet and appearing again. And what else? Yeah, Spot returns. Another highlight was Plankton trying to get the cork out of the bottle where the formula is in by doing all these crazy things, like dropping a bomb, trying to open it with his bare hands. He turned himself into the wizard genie from Spin the Bottle, which was pretty interesting to see. And yeah, this episode was actually pretty fun and interesting. The visuals for this episode was actually pretty cool as well, especially when Plankton put SpongeBob and Squidward in a rocket ship and blasted them out of the chum bucket, and we got this really nice visual setting of a sunrise, which is pretty interesting to see. The cartooniness of Mr. Krabs at the end was actually really, really funny. To see him turn himself to like a train whistle, and he was like screaming at the top of his lungs when he realized that Mr. Krabs... sorry, I'm so sorry, you guys. When Mr. Krabs noticed that SpongeBob and Squidward let Plankton get away with the formula, and I just love how he just breaks into the chum bucket, steals the formula back, and then Plankton wakes up the next day to see that Spot was inside the safe instead of the formula. And I love this, and I actually like the fact that the lightsaber was electrocuting Plankton while Spot was playing with him, which was pretty funny. And yeah, that's all I have to say for this episode. This episode gets a high good. The reason why I'm not spoiling everything is because a lot of people may have not seen it yet in their area, so I've tried to keep little bit of spoilers out of the window. So yes, that's my overall rating for Bottle Burglars, a high good. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review on Bottle Burglars. The next major new episode is my leg, because next Friday is... I heard that Sanitation Insanity is coming out on next Friday. I've already seen it. I've already reviewed it, so there's no need for me to review that again. So I'll just come back on the 27th of April to review my leg, which is another episode that I'm actually am excited for. Well, that's my review. Have a great Friday the 13th, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with more videos. Peace. Hello, everyone. This is Evie, the original master here, and it is time for my review of the new SpongeBob episode that came out today, My Leg. And I have to tell you guys that this episode was actually a really fun ride. This is actually, in my opinion, one of the most creative episodes that they have ever done for this series, taking a running gag and turning it into an actual episode. So, the synopsis of this episode, Fred, the character who says my leg, has to keep his leg out of harm's way, or else he'll be getting a mechanical leg from the doctor. So the episode began really, really great, of Fred constantly getting to these scenarios where everything kept falling on his leg, and he says his famous catchphrase, my leg. The whole episode was just really funny. Like, there was a lot of creative concepts between this whole episode. It's like whenever the character said my leg, they had to scream it out loud, and whenever they say it, the ambulance come by and they will take them to the hospital. So yeah, there was actually some really funny things about this episode. Don't want to spoil too much, but the ending, I'm not going to spoil the ending. It's because that I just don't want to. You know what, I might as well spoil it. Fred had another singing number. Yes, Fred, the character actually had another musical number from the series. His first musical number was Hey All You People from the Jellyfish Hunter. And he sang the song at the end of this episode called My Leg Is in Love. It was a really funny song, and I actually liked it a lot. This episode is actually one of my favorites of the season now. This was really fun. The jokes were really great. I love the fact that they have to scream my leg for every scenario that they've done. I'm not going to tell you all the scenarios that happen, but you guys will have to find out yourself, if you have the chance to see the episode. So overall, my final rating for this episode is a perfect 10. This episode was really funny. I loved it. It was a good episode, and I can't wait for tomorrow with Ink Lemonade. In fact, they showed a promo of Ink Lemonade after the My Leg promo, or the My Leg episode, I'm sorry, the episode My Leg. And yeah, overall this episode was pretty good, and I give it a perfect 10 of how creative it was. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow with my review on Ink Lemonade, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Hello everyone, this is EB the Original Master here, and it is time for me to review, yet again, another new episode of SpongeBob. So today, we've gotten the episode Ink Lemonade, and I'm here to give you guys my thoughts about this episode. So, in this episode, Patrick is running a lemonade stand, and, so he doesn't know how it works. So basically, the episode actually started out pretty good at first. I actually laughed where Patrick misspelled lemonade and it kind of said lemonade without the e in it, so it kind of spelled like lemonade, and it was pretty funny. Um, so basically, this whole episode was just Patrick trying to scare Squidward for him to make the black lemonade. So there were some things that I actually predicted. I predicted that the black lemonade or the ink lemonade was going to make them sick. So I was right about that. And because basically this whole episode was just basically Patrick coming up with ways to scare Squidward to make the black lemonade. There were some things that I enjoyed about this episode, but I wouldn't say it was a good episode in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, the episode wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bit of torturing, but there were some moments that I really didn't like, such as the gross outs that they included, such as Patrick's intestines talking and Patrick pulling the band-aid out of his armpits. I really didn't enjoy that much. I mean, it didn't bother me, but it was kind of disgusting at the same time. So, yeah, so at the end of the episode, yes, spoilers, SpongeBob and Patrick decided to sell cookies, but it turned out to be spider eggs at the end. So, yeah. So overall, I'm gonna go ahead and give this an okay rating. Don't get me wrong, you guys, the episode wasn't that bad, but it really wasn't that interesting at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, the concept of ink lemonade, that was a really cool concept. But overall, the episode just, I mean, it wasn't bad at the slightest. I know I'm repeating myself over and over again, but it's the truth. I just don't see this as a good episode. I think it's just okay for me. I mean, it wasn't as, I mean, my leg, that was really good. But with ink lemonade, they could have did something more creative with this concept. But I actually did love the fact that Square created his own lemonade stand, and he told everyone that the blah 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 blah. Sorry about that. The lemonade, the black lemonade, was making everyone sick. So yes, as of now, my final rating for this episode was okay. I mean, it's not a good episode in my opinion. I thought it was just okay. So yeah, that's my final rating for Ink Lemonade. Now, don't be confused that I hated it or anything. It was just not that type of humor that I kind of wanted. But yeah, there was another good thing that I actually liked about this episode was when Patrick made the little haunted house area of it. Sorry about that. Sorry if I'm stuttering a lot here. The thing that I liked about there's another thing that I liked about this episode is Patrick building this little haunted house area, and Square was like hearing a music box and he said creepy nursery rhyme music. I thought that was pretty funny, but I'm still gonna give it an okay rating as of now. Well, that's my review for Ink Lemonade. Sorry if I stutter in most of the review towards the end. I was just trying to think of some words that I can come up with. But yeah, tomorrow is the last day with Mustard O' Mine. We got a promo for it. It looks pretty interesting. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed my review for Ink Lemonade. Don't let my opinions offend you. It's because these are my opinions. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. So, peace. Hello, everyone. This is EB, the original master here. And welcome to the final day of the weekly premieres of small episodes in the month of May. So, today I'm here to review Mustard O' Mine. So, here are my thoughts about this episode. So, in this episode, Mr. Krabs, has ran out of mustard for the Krusty Krab, so he sends SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward to go down to the mustard mines to get more. So there were actually some really good things that I loved about this episode. There was actually a hillbilly, farmer guy in this episode, who was warning them about this mummy's curse. And I actually love how the fact that every time the SpongeBob crew make like a hillbilly person, they always try to design it as like Mario, is because that they always have the red shirt and the blue overalls, which is pretty hilarious. So I'm not saying that Mario inspired them to do that. I'm just saying that I just love the fact that every hillbilly character in the show kind of looks like Mario with the red shirt and the overalls. But yeah, so yeah, he was pretty funny. There were some really good things about this episode, such as the mines itself. They found lots of condiments there, such as relish. Oh, no, not relish. Well, they did mention relish at the end of the episode. In fact, a mummy appeared at the end of the episode complaining that there was no relish on his Krabby Patty. But yes, there was mentioning of relish, but they didn't find any relish in the mines. They found mayonnaise, ketchup, and mustard, of course. So yeah, This episode had some really, really creative things in it, such as the mines being in a subway train, and freaking Patrick thinking the ketchup was blood. I thought that was a really clever joke that they did there. Yeah, so overall, Mustard O' Mine was actually a pretty good episode. I'm gonna give this episode a 9 out of 10. So yeah, that's all I have to say. That's my final rating for Mustard O' Mine. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review on Mustard O' Mine. Sorry if it was a little shorter, but I tried to keep the spoilers as minimum. So yeah, that's all the episodes that we got so far. So I'll see you guys next time with the next review if a new episode is planning to come out sometime either in May or probably next month in June. But I'll keep you guys in mind with that. So with that said, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Hello everyone, EB the Original Master here, and good news, I am back with a new SpongeBob SquarePants episode review. So today I'm here to review the new episode, Shopping List. So before I begin with this review, this episode came out in Israel around the 4th of July, and I saw both the Hebrew version and the English version. So I'd like to thank Reaction Guide 1026 for providing me the link of the English version. I'll try to put the link in the description below, but if the link doesn't somehow work, I apologize, but I'm here to provide the review for you guys. So in Shopping List, Mr. Krabs sends SpongeBob out to get exotic ingredients for a Krabby Patty because the Krusty Krab is running out of ingredients. So basically Plankton hears about this, and so he wants to sneak around with SpongeBob so he could get the exact same ingredients as SpongeBob. So Sandy's in this episode, which is pretty interesting, I guess. But so they use Sandy's new and improved submarine, and she named the submarine Matilda for some reason. So they go in Sandy's submarine to search for these items. So the first item that they found was hair from a Yeti crab, which actually had lots of references there. The Pinhead Larry and Dirty Dan tombstones from Survival of the Idiots made a reference in this episode, which I thought was pretty cool. And the Yeti crab from Yeti Crabs from season 9, I think it was season 9A. Yeah, it was season 9A. Returned in this episode. And yeah, it was pretty comedic to see Sandy and SpongeBob trying to take the hair out of the Yeti crab. Then they had to get milk from a sawtooth fish, and Sandy had to like grab the udders and milk the sawtooth fish, which I thought was pretty hilarious. And last but not least, they had to get dandruff from the Flying Dutchman. So yeah, they basically got dandruff from the Flying Dutchman. And so they had to fly away. And then after they got all the ingredients and whatnot, Plankton somehow took Sandy's sub and took all of the remaining ingredients. So the ending was just ridiculous because Sandy beat the crap out of Mr. Krabs because she was upset that he made SpongeBob go out and get all these crazy ingredients. It doesn't make any sense because Mr. Krabs is SpongeBob's boss, and Sandy shouldn't even get mad in the first place, but it is what it is. So, yeah, that was Shopping List. It was actually a pretty good episode. I'll have to give it a 9 out of 10. It was pretty funny. They had some really good jokes in there. And, yeah, I actually did like this episode a lot. The episode is not out in the United States, though. It just aired in... I don't know what country this aired in, but I know the Hebrew version aired in Israel. I think this was the Russian version, because I heard that Russia is airing Shopping List, Pat Nokia, Chef Bob, Whale Watching. They're all airing that around this week. So I'll probably review the other episodes during the course of the week. So hopefully tomorrow I'll review the next episode. But with that said, that's my review on the Shopping List. It was a good episode, and I'll see you guys next time in another SpongeBob SquarePants review. Bye. Hello everyone, EB the Original Master here, and today I'm here to review the two new SpongeBob episodes that aired in Russia, Whale Watching and The Krusty Cleaners. So I'm here to give you guys my thoughts of these episodes. So without further ado, let's begin. So in the Whale Watching, Squidward has to babysit Pearl from Mr. Krabs, where he's actually going out to poker. So Pearl has other things in her schedule where she is actually going to a party with her boyfriend named Dylan. So basically, Squidward has to watch over Pearl, and if Mr. Krabs finds out that Squidward isn't taking care of her and something bad happens to her, he will have to take a shift with SpongeBob, or have to work with a shift with him. And he was actually going to let him not have a shift with SpongeBob, but he was going to let him have one if anything happens to Pearl, basically. So SpongeBob only made a cameo in this episode, and I thought he wasn't going to be in this episode, but Nickelodeon will never let this character not have one screen time that doesn't involve with him. So this episode had some really, really good things about it. I liked the surface part, which was at the ending of the episode, where the party was up at the surface, and they actually changed the animation style to like a stop motion 3D computer generated style. And that's what I love about SpongeBob, and that's what I want them to continue doing, is to throw in new and creative arts animation styles instead of the traditional 2D animation, traditional 2D animation. And yeah, so that's one of my favorite parts about this episode. I also liked the part where they referenced Boys Who Cried from Whale of a Birthday from season 4. And yeah, this episode was actually pretty interesting. I like the ending of the episode where Squidward and Pearl actually left SpongeBob inside of a bag at Dylan's house, and so he came out, and then he freaked out because SpongeBob was constantly laughing up a storm. So overall, this episode was actually pretty good. I'll give this episode a 8.5 out of 10. It's not because of the reason why I gave it an 8.5 is because that it isn't as good as the sister episode, which is the Krusty Cleaners. So the Krusty Cleaners had a really unique concept. So SpongeBob is out delivering a Krabby Patty to a business complex, and he accidentally made a mess on the floor. So he admired the whole business that he was going to clean up the entire apartment or the business complex. So he hires Patrick to help along, but there's this robot who actually wants to clean everything up himself, but then he turns out to be an antagonist of this episode. So this episode was really creative. I do love the whole fight sequence at the end where the robot made an army of other appliances such as a coffee maker, a printer, the vending machine. It was really crazy, and it was actually really good. And yeah, so whenever SpongeBob and Patrick tried to clean up the mess, they made an even bigger mess. But the robot's job is to make sure everything is clean, and he wasn't pleased that SpongeBob is taking over his job, so he gotten kind of upset about that. So yeah, that's all I have to say for the Krusty Cleaners. I don't want to talk about it too much about it, and I'll give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. So both Whale Watching and the Krusty Cleaners were pretty good episodes. Sorry if this review was a little bit messed up because of my awkward speech, but I tried the best I could to provide these episodes. So yeah, that's my review on Whale Watching and the Krusty Cleaners, 2 good episodes. I don't know what episode comes out tomorrow, but I'll just have to keep checking on Just Sponge's channel to see what episode comes out next. I think the next episode is, Pat Nocchio and Chef Bob, I believe. But yeah, I think those episodes are coming out tomorrow. So with that said, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Hello, everyone. EB, the Original Master here. And today I'm here to review the 2 brand new SpongeBob episodes that aired in Russia, Pat Nocchio and Chef Bob. So I'm impressed. Both of these episodes provided so much entertainment, and I actually enjoyed both of them. But I'm here to tell you guys which episode that I think is better. So, in the episode Pat Nocchio, I actually predicted this episode being taking place in a storybook, and I was right. So, this episode is basically SpongeBob's version of the classic Pinocchio story. It's probably the Disney version, because I heard that Pinocchio, the original Pinocchio, was a dark story, so they decided to do the Disney version of it. So this episode was really, really good, actually. Patrick played as Pat Nocchio, who had like this overalls and this bow tie and a hat and everything, and it was actually a pretty good choice for Patrick. And so SpongeBob tells Patrick about his conscience that tells you the right things to do and the wrong things to do. So Plankton was going to use Patrick for him to steal a Krabby Patty. So a lot of good references was in this episode. You guys remember Goofy Goober Party Boat from the first SpongeBob movie? It finally came back. I was shocked. I wasn't expecting to see this here, but Goofy Goober Party Boat came back, and it was actually pretty good to see that again. I like the fact that when they told lies, their nose grew longer, and they had like a nose fight inside the Goofy Goober Party Boat. That was funny. When they went to Goo Lagoon, yes, Goo Lagoon made its first appearance in season 11 because in the episode The Checkup, that was Muscle Beach, which was part of Goo Lagoon. It wasn't actually Goo Lagoon, but it was part of it. So they actually went inside of Pearl's body and they found Gelato, who made a wooden Pinocchio puppet, which was pretty funny, and they were fighting each other inside of Pearl's body. And yeah, this episode was actually really, really comedic. And this episode was actually a fun watch. So this episode gets a 9.5 out of 10. Really good episode. I loved it and it was hilarious. Now let's move on to Chef Bob. So in the episode Chef Bob, the customers are admiring SpongeBob's wonderful cooking skills, and Mr. Krabs decides to make an open stage so SpongeBob can cook in front of the customers. So you're probably asking, who the heck is Chef Bob? Well, originally, Chef Bob was just SpongeBob in a chef outfit until he made like a puppet version, which is actually the real Chef Bob. So the puppet Chef Bob will tell insults to customers, and he'll make jokes out of it. And it was really funny because I was getting flashbacks from Squidward. In fact, I think Chef Bob is a much better version of Squidward because the episodes involved with little talking puppets, just like Pat Nokio. That's what I noticed about both Pat Nokio and Chef Bob. They both involved puppets, which is actually pretty clever. So yeah, Chef Bob was insulting all the customers, and he was insulting SpongeBob. And so the ending was really, really good. It had SpongeBob and Chef Bob having a fight with spatulas and whatnot, and it was really violent. And then at the end of the day, the whole Chef Bob show turned into a reality, and it was on national television. And both SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs, and Squidward were shocked about it, so they passed out, and it was really, really comedic. So yeah, I'm gonna give this episode a 9.5 out of 10 as well. So yep, that's my review on Pat Nokio and Chef Bob. These episodes were really good. They were funny, and I can't wait to see what is in store next time. I heard that these were the last episodes that were premiering, and if they do air the next episodes, Surf and Turf, Girls Night Out, and all the other episodes, I'll be looking forward to them. So yeah, Chef Bob and Pat Nokio were two great episodes. Hope you guys enjoyed my review on them, and I'll see you guys next time with more SpongeBob. Bye. Hello everyone, this is EB the Original Master here, and welcome back to my SpongeBob SquarePants weekly premiere review for the weeks of September 24th to September 27th. So today I'm here to review the new episode that just aired tonight, Plankton Paranoia. So in this episode, Plankton hasn't stolen the formula in a while and is making Mr. Krabs nervous. So at first when I saw this episode, it did go off to a pretty funny pace, but then I was gonna give this episode an okay rating because of how unlikable Mr. Krabs was, is because that he was expecting that Plankton was gonna come to steal his formula. So he was completely paranoid in this episode, meaning he was going insanely crazy. He was going around banning customers because they thought that they were gonna take the Krabby Patties and give them the Plankton. So that's where I began to realize that Mr. Krabs wasn't being very likable here. But then the episode started to get really, really good towards the ending. So here are my highlights of this episode. I laughed out loud when Sandy came into the restaurant to order a Krabby Patty. You just see her poking through the cardboard planks or the wooden planks. Excuse my mistake here, but yeah, she was just standing there just waving, asking for Mr. Krabs to let her in. And then Mr. Krabs just pulls out a stamp and just puts the word banned on her. It was hilarious. Like, it chuckled me a little bit. And then it turns out to be that the whole reason why Plankton didn't steal the formula is because that they were celebrating 1 year since Plankton has stole the Krabby Patty secret formula. And that's where the ending started to get really, really good. So Mr. Krabs warned everybody not to eat the Krabby Patties because it turned out to be that the Krabby Patties were like electricity, like they were like electricity status or whatnot, or yes, no, I'm not gonna say status, it's static. I'm sorry.
excuse my mistake here, static electricity. So when they were about to eat the Krabby Patty, Mr. Krabs grabbed it so they wouldn't eat it because they'll get electrocuted from it. And this is where the episode goes to a really cool pace where Mr. Krabs was blown up into a firework, and I started getting Super Mario Odyssey / Super Mario 3D World flashbacks or references, because when the fireworks exploded, they had faces of Mr. Krabs. And if you guys didn't know, in Super Mario Odyssey, um, after you defeated the Robo Brutal, the Brutal's faces were in the fireworks, and that's what that scene reminded me of, is from the Brutal's um, Mecha Brutal battle from Super Mario Odyssey, and the Bowser firework phase from the ending of Super Mario 3D World. So that's what the fireworks scene reminded me of. And the Mario Kart 8 Double Dash. Oh, not Mario Kart 8 Double Dash. What am I even saying? I am so sorry if I'm just making words up. I'm just must be very excited of how good this episode was. So yeah, Mario Kart 8 N64 Rainbow Road. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, that's what the fireworks reminded me of. And so at the end of the episode, SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs gave Plankton another formula bottle, but this time it was actually a fake formula. It was a fake formula, so the whole entire chum bucket just blew up. It blew up into flames, into a nuke. So yeah, this episode was actually quite good. It's actually my next favorite episode of season 11 because of that great ending. The ending was really good. I love the fact that Sandy actually guided everybody into the chum bucket for the surprise, and then Plankton actually kidnapped it, Squidward, and it all turned out to be that they were having a celebration of Plankton's first anniversary of stealing the Krusty Krab formula, or the Krab Patty Secret formula. So yeah, this episode was actually pretty good. I actually was gonna give this one okay, but the ending really held it up. So yeah, I'll give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. Really good episode. I'm very disappointed that the title card music was "You're Nice." They should have did something better with it. They should have did like "Arnold is Back" or something. But yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, that's all I have to say for Plankton Paranoia. I'll see you guys next time with Call the Cops. So I'll see you guys then. Bye.
Hello, everyone. This is EB, the Original Master here, and welcome to my review on the new SpongeBob episode that came out this evening at 6. Library cards. So this is actually the second day of the weekly premieres from September 24th to the 27th. And if you guys didn't recall from yesterday, they aired Shopping List, which I have already reviewed. So if you guys want to see my review on that, I'll drop the link in the description below. So for the synopsis in this episode, Patrick discovers SpongeBob's library, and he reads too much books that gains him knowledge. So before I begin with this review, I actually missed half of the beginning of this episode, is because that I was interrupted when I was watching it. So yes, this was the same incident that happened with Cuddly Hugs, but I do believe the first half of the episode was probably SpongeBob showing Patrick the library, I guess, because there was a clip of this episode that was uploaded to the SpongeBob Twitter page, which showed SpongeBob showing Patrick all these different types of books, such as audiobooks, where they heard the sounds of the ocean. They also had cliffhangers and log books. So that's what I saw from the clip, the sneak peek. And I do believe that was in the first half of the episode. So I've pretty much seen that part already. But I'm gonna discuss the beginning of the episode, where Patrick was watching a show about a snail and an urchin. And no, I'm not gonna say the name of the shows, because that you guys don't need to know that. I'm not here to spoil everything. I'm just here to point out what I've seen. So yeah, Patrick was watching a show about a snail and an urchin. So Patrick then begins to read all of these books, where they actually pull a reference to Patrick SmartPants, where Patrick reads too many books, he gains a lot of knowledge, where his brain is extremely huge, where he's actually become a lot smarter, meaning he starts to speak intelligently, which is a reference to Patrick SmartPants from season 4. So SpongeBob has to figure out ways to get rid of Patrick's knowledge so he can become dumb again. So what he does is he shows Patrick the same show, the urchin and the snail, and he likes it so much he becomes dumb again. And then the episode ends with Patrick throwing books in SpongeBob's library, and that's basically how the episode ends. This episode was pretty interesting, but it's not my favorite of season 11. It was a good episode, but it's not my favorite of the season. I do love the reference that they brought in, such as Patrick SmartPants, and the fact that Patrick had gained a lot of knowledge. And what I loved about this episode, I liked the fact that every time Patrick read the books, words were being thrown into his brain, where his brain was actually a character, where he would hide, because all of Patrick's knowledge from the words that he's reading from the book are getting into his brain. So yeah, this is actually a pretty good episode, but it's not my favorite of the season. So yeah, that's my review on Library Cards. I'll see you guys tomorrow on my review on Plankton Paranoia, which is the next episode of the weekly premiere. So I'll see you guys then. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So bye. Hello everyone, this is EB the Original Master here, and welcome to the final day of the SpongeBob SquarePants weekly premieres of September 24th to the 27th. So today I'm here to review Call the Cops. So in this episode, the Krabby Patty secret formula has been taken as evidence when Plankton gets arrested, and Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob has to venture it to get it back. So alone, the plot does sound kind of interesting, but it already has plots squeezed in from past episodes, is because in the episode Bottle Burglars, which is another episode from season 11, Plankton got away with the formula, and SpongeBob and Squidward had to get it back. But in this episode, it's the same story, but it's switched around. Instead of Plankton stealing it, well, he did steal the formula. It then gets taken as evidence from the police, and they have to go out and get it. So, to be honest, you guys, I don't think this is a good episode. I'm not saying it's a bad episode, but I don't think this episode is far from great or anything. What I did like about this episode was the references that they threw out. When Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob visited the police station, they had a picture of the Tattletale Strangler from SpongeBob Meets the Strangler, which was a pretty good reference, which I enjoyed. And some of the jokes were pretty funny, such as SpongeBob insulting the people while they were as cops, as Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob were cops. But to be totally honest, it really isn't that funny to see SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs arrest people over the fact that it didn't cause any crimes, such as the Girl Scout selling the cookies. At this point, it's not funny. It's because that it's been done before in the show. In Shuffleboarding, SpongeBob and Patrick threw in random people in jail for no reason, and it's really not that funny, you guys. I don't find that funny. It's funny for a couple of times, then it gets really old. And then Patrick served nothing to this episode. He was just there as a comic relief whilst Plankton was in prison. I don't even know why Patrick was in prison in the first place. Maybe he was just sneaking around Bikini Bottom and ended up himself trapped in a jail cell or something. But the ending really didn't make it up that well, because the ending was just okay. It wasn't anything laugh out loud funny. At the ending, Mr. Krabs and Plankton were beating up each other, and then the police officers threw in Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob in jail, along with the Girl Scout who was selling the cookies. And then the ending was just Patrick just being dumb. This episode isn't anything too special. So my final rating for Call the Cops is okay. It's nothing too good. It's not as good as Plankton Paranoia, because Plankton Paranoia is actually the best episode from this week so far. So if I had to rank my favorite episodes from the best to the worst, I'll put Plankton Paranoia as my favorite, and I'll probably put Call the Cops as my least favorite. And yeah, so that's all I have to say for Call the Cops. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review for this episode. If you guys didn't recall from my video that I made last night about SpongeBob links, I'll put that video in the description below so you guys will understand that I do not create links to these episodes. So please do not ask me for those, because I do not do that. So yeah, so that's all I have to say for Call the Cops. It was an okay episode, and my number score will probably be a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, 7.5 out of 10. That'll be my rating for a number for Call the Cops. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Hello everyone, EB the Original Master here. And surprising, we actually got a new episode of SpongeBob. Yeah, Surf and Turf has been leaked today. I think it must have aired in Russia or something, but I'd like to give a huge shout out to Scrooge McDuck, who was also known as Squidward Hair in the past. I didn't know about this until he posted it on my Discord server. So Surf and Turf has came out, and it hasn't came out in the US though. It must have came out in Russia because the episode was in English. So I'm here to give you guys my review on this episode.
And I will drop the link in the description below just because this episode was uploaded to YouTube. And let's hope that this episode doesn't get blocked because I need to quickly hurry up with this review and download the episode before the episode will probably get blocked by Viacom. But you may never know, but it might get blocked eventually. So I have to quickly download the episode before it's too late. But yeah, so in Surf and Turf, Sandy attends a ship in a bottle contest where every time she makes a ship in the bottle, it turns out to be a failure. So this episode was actually really funny. This is actually up there as my favorite season 11 episode. I couldn't stop laughing at this episode of how funny it was, of Sandy's utter stupidity. I think this is the dumbest Sandy has ever been in SpongeBob because she did some pretty dumb things in this episode. For example, every time she failed making a ship in the bottle, she started eating up her furniture. Sandy, calm down. It's not a big deal. I mean, yes, it is a big deal to you, but seriously, why you have to chew down your furniture, man? Like, come on, calm down. So SpongeBob shows up to help her out, and then he uses a bottle that had the secret formula inside, and then he throws it outside of Sandy's tree dome, and that's where he realized that he threw away the formula. So he ran all the way to the airport to fly to Plankton's little secret lair, which is like this. It kind of looks like hell or something, but yeah, that's what it kind of looked like. And so yeah, it was pretty funny. Now moving on to the highlights of this episode, Mr. Krabs teaching Sandy how to build a perfect ship in the bottle or a perfect glass bottle. It was funny that the fact that Mr. Krabs kept shattering every bottle that Sandy made. This was actually really funny. This right here is one of my favorite moments of the episode. Is Mr. Krabs smashing every bottle that Sandy made. Yes, it was really funny because Sandy kept screwing it up. So Mr. Krabs then uses Sandy's tree dome as a ship in the bottle instead by building a giant ship and using all of the wood in her tree to build the ship. Sandy gets triggered and starts attacking Mr. Krabs. And so Mr. Krabs and Sandy goes onto a high-speed chase throughout Bikini Bottom. This was a lot fun. No, to be honest, this is a lot better than the race from The Grill Is Gone. I don't care what anybody says. I know this is my opinion, but seriously, the chase scene in Surf and Turf is a lot better than the race and The Grill Is Gone. It's a lot funnier. It's a lot more chaotic. And the fact that Sandy was utterly stupid in this episode makes it top notch. I don't care anymore. Sandy is not smart whatsoever because she did some dumb things. So to wrap things up with this review, Sandy actually won the ship in the bottle by actually crashing her submarine, which was Matilda from the shopping list episode or shopping list. I'm surprised that she got her hands back on Matilda again. And then, so she won by literally being a squirrel in the bottle. Basically, she flies out of her suit. She gets trapped in her helmet where she's still in her bikini, obviously. And so Sandy won, and at the ending, Sandy literally makes Mr. Krabs rebuild her tree. You know what, Sandy? This is exactly why nobody likes you. You're unlikable, and that's why you are not a smart character. So overall, good episode. A really good episode. A 9.5 out of 10 rating. So yeah, that's my review on Surf and Turf. So I'll quickly drop the link in the description below, and I suggest you guys should download this episode as soon as possible because you may never know if Viacom will take it down. I'm just saying, I'm just giving you guys a little warning. I will put the link in the episode in the description. Quickly download it before something happens to it because you may never know because YouTube is very stricted with copyright grounds. So yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys later.
Well, hello everyone, EB the Original Master here, and we've did it. We have reached the final episode of Season 11 for SpongeBob, Goons on the Moon, and I am very happy to provide this review for you guys this very, very Sunday morning. So yeah, Goons on the Moon was actually pretty interesting in my opinion, and there were some good things about it, and there were some bad things about it, but that's why I'm here to explain that to you guys this very day. So yeah, so Goons on the Moon was actually pretty interesting in my opinion, is because that we get to see some very interesting character traits, well, half of the time in the episode. So yeah, so in this episode, Sandy is actually hosting a science scout where she is bringing along SpongeBob, Pearl, and Pearl's friend from school named Squidina or something. But yeah, that's how you pronounce her name. I know I'm mispronouncing it, but it's probably Squidina or something. But yeah, that's how you pronounce her name. So yeah, this episode was actually pretty funny. I actually did love some of the things that this episode provided. So Squidward actually He wasn't part of this trip because he was actually delivering a Krabby Patty for SpongeBob to take on the trip, but then he ended up stranded on the moon along with SpongeBob, uh, Sandy, Pearl, and Squidina. So yeah, that was pretty funny. I also love the live action Roger Bumpus cameo. Yes, Roger Bumpus actually made a cameo in this episode, who is the voice of Squidward, and it was pretty funny because you see Squidward in the moon going through these craters, finding a way to escape from the moon, and one of them was him popping out from the storyboards of the Nickelodeon studios down in Burbank, California, where you see Roger Bumpus shrieking out because he finds Squidward, and he is Squidward, so Squidward meets Squidward, so that's pretty funny. And then it all turned out to be that Squidward found the dark side of the moon, where he finds Santa Claus, which is part of the episode, but it really wasn't the main focus. It was actually Sandy taking her scouts to experience the moon to go camping on. So yeah, the ending was pretty weird to see SpongeBob becoming the moon after he shatters it, and he wishes everyone a happy early Christmas. Like, he's up in the cities. I don't know what city this was. I think it must have been a U.S. city. But if you guys know what city that SpongeBob was visiting as the moon in this episode, please let me know in the comments below. So yeah, overall, I'll give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. The reason why I gave it an 8 is because that Pearl and Squidina are actually very boring characters here because they were doing some really dumb things here and there. But SpongeBob takes the true cake because he's pretty much the one who did most of the really dumb things in this episode, and that's pretty common because that's his character. So yeah, Goons on the Moon gets an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Well, that's it, guys. Season 11 is finished. I'm surprised that the season has ended, and now we just gotta wait till season 12 to continue airing. So once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with more SpongeBob reviews. Hello everyone, Evie the Original Master here, and today I'm here to review the new SpongeBob episodes that aired this morning on Sunday, October 28th, Appointment TV and Bubbletown. So in Appointment TV, SpongeBob is going to watch the long awaited Mermaid and Barnacle Boy lost episode, which was called The Curse of the Cliffhanger. And so SpongeBob was going to record it, the whole episode, on a VHS tape, which was pretty funny because that we were in 2018, and I think in SpongeBob's universe, they're probably stuck in like a weird time zone where they use outdated things like VHS, phone booths, etc. So basically, this whole episode was SpongeBob doing good deeds, and which caused them to miss the running premiere or the long lost episode of Mermaid and Barnacle Boy. So one of the good deeds that SpongeBob had to do was he had to fix a tire for Mrs. Puff's boatmobile, which was pretty interesting. SpongeBob had to go help Patrick find his rock because I think it was like a no parking zone or something. Like, he treated his rock as a car or something, but it was pretty okay. And he also had to help out Sandy with her tree dome. I don't know why, but I don't know why Sandy keeps getting her tree dome into situations. Like, if you expect for her to take care of her things, she would expect her to take care of her tree dome, but that wasn't the case because we all know that Sandy isn't smart most of the time, which is mainly all the time. But yeah, so doing all these good deeds caused SpongeBob's to miss the long lost Mermaid and Barnacle Boy episode, where he comes home at the late night to find out that the VCR was eating up the tape, and then his whole house blew up. Like the popcorn machine went haywired. Gary was seen flying through the air with a soda bottle, and yeah, so to cheer SpongeBob up for missing this premiere, Sandy gathers everyone to recreate the Mermaid and Barnacle Boy long lost episode, what was actually pretty funny and interesting. We got the return of Mr. Tightwad and Mr. Negative from Mermaid Pants, which in my opinion isn't a good episode at all. It's because it wasn't my favorite Mermaid and Barnacle Boy episode, and I just found Mermaid Pants to be rather boring. And yeah, and so the highlight for me in this episode was the ending when Old Man Jenkins came out and said, "What are you kids doing in my yard?" Like, I love the fact that he called SpongeBob and the others kids. It's funny because I would expect the writers to say people instead of quote unquote kids. But
but I'm sorry, I did not mean to say that. But yeah, Old Man Jenkins calling them kids was actually pretty funny. And all he wanted to do was become Mermaid Man. So SpongeBob lets him become Mermaid Man, and that's how the episode ends. So yeah, it was a pretty good episode. And yeah, and I actually liked it. I will give this episode I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 instead of a 9.5. But yeah, I'll give it a 9 because it was a pretty interesting episode. But the whole good deeds thing was not really that interesting, but it was okay at the slightest. So now moving on to Bubble Town. I really didn't like Bubble Town at all, you guys. This episode was rather predictable, and I mean, I wouldn't say predictable, but I will say it was rather on the boring side because all the episode was SpongeBob basically destroying Bubble Town because of his careless actions. So this is where Bubble Buddy lives, and the beginning of the episode was actually pretty good to see like a narration of Bubble Town. It kind of reminded me of the Krusty Krab training video where it had like an announcer in the background announcing how the Krusty Krab runs, and that's kind of how Bubble Town was introduced, kind of how to remind me how it was introduced. Well, let me rephrase that again. The way how Bubble Town was introduced was kind of similar to the Krusty Krab training video. And yeah, so what made this episode boring was the fact that SpongeBob kept crying throughout this episode, and Mr. Krabs had to break SpongeBob out of prison, and it was pretty much the exact same thing again and again and again. Them popping and destroying the whole Bubble Town. So Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob had to rebuild it, and then at the end they built like a Krusty Krab version of Bubble Town, and Mr. Krabs ended up popping it because they made a bubble joke. And yes, it really wasn't that funny. This episode gets a meh. So it's gonna be I'm gonna give this episode a 5.5 out of 10 because this episode was not funny at the slightest. There were some good things about it, but seeing how much repetitive it was and how much of unpotential that I was expecting from it, this episode isn't nowhere as good as Appointment TV. So yeah, that's my review for Appointment TV and Bubble Town. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next Sunday on the last premieres of the Sunday episodes of SpongeBob, Girls Night Out, and Karen's Virus. Again, sorry for the weird mix up with Bubble Town's review for the slight mistakes, but at least I corrected it and gave you guys a review that you want. Thank you, and I'll see you guys later.
Hey guys, EB the Original Master here. Today I'm here to review the new episodes of SpongeBob that aired this morning at 11, Girls Night Out, and Karen's Virus. So let's begin. So in Karen's Virus, I actually found this episode to be rather entertaining, and it offered some really good visuals. So in this episode, Karen gets a virus into her hard drive, and so Plankton sends SpongeBob to go inside of Karen to get the virus out. So in this episode, it had some really good visuals here and there. So mainly the visuals was 3D computer animation visuals, which was pretty interesting, and it actually had some really good jokes here and there. So basically, the whole situation about this is that since Karen has this virus, it causes her to go really crazy, which was pretty funny because I kind of did laugh at it a little bit, and it turned out to be that the virus happened to be this giant red monster thing that was eating through Karen's hard drive, so that was causing her to get the virus. If I had to say one good thing about this episode, I really did like the ending where they showed clips from past SpongeBob episodes. They had a scene from Plankton's Army. They also had a scene from Welcome to the Chum Bucket. They actually had clips of those episodes in Karen's memory bank. So yeah, that was actually pretty interesting. And yeah, so I actually gave this episode a good rating because it had good visuals, some of the jokes were pretty funny, and it was actually overall entertaining. So I'll give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. Now moving on to Girls Night Out. Now this episode alone really wasn't that good. It was just okay in my opinion. It's because that it was overtively dumb. Yes, I know I made that word up, but I honestly don't care. But yeah. So in this episode, Sandy hires Mrs. Puff and Karen for the evening so they could hang out, you know. So Sandy wants to hang out with Karen and Mrs. Puff, and it's so weird because Karen Mrs. Puff and Sandy are like so desperate to get away from Plankton and SpongeBob because they were actually pranking them in this episode. Basically, this whole episode was just them pranking each other. No, I'm sorry. They weren't pranking each other, they were just pranking Plankton and SpongeBob, basically. And I wasn't expecting that, is because that I'd expect them to do like mature things like going out to a cafe, which they did in the episode. They went to a cafe and had milkshakes, which was mature because that's what you do as adults if you're gonna hang out. You don't pull pranks on each other. That's what kids do. I swear, Sandy does some really dumb things, and they got themselves in trouble when they did a prank with SpongeBob as a virtual reality helmet. So Sandy had this virtual reality helmet that she put on SpongeBob, and SpongeBob ended up in a shopping cart driving onto the road. And it was all Sandy's fault because we all know that Sandy's a dumb character, and we all know that Sandy should have never did this in the first place. And I honestly don't see the reason Sandy doing this because Sandy is not mature at all. She is really immature. She acts like she's has ADHD or something because throughout the whole episode she was acting all crazy and whatnot. But overall, this episode was just okay. It's not meh. It's because there were some really good things about here, but I just give it an okay. It's not a good episode at all. It was just okay. So I'll give this episode a 7 out of 10, and I'll give Karen's Virus a 9.5. So yeah, that was my review for Karen's Virus and Girls Night Out. Sorry if the review was a little bit awkward, but I did the best I could. So I'll see you guys on November 11th with the season 12 premiere of Farmer Bob. It's because that tomorrow they're airing Surfing Turf along with Farmer Bob. But as you guys can already tell, I've already reviewed Surfing Turf before it aired in the US because I heard that the episode came out on Amazon Prime, which was soon taken off of Amazon Prime. But the video is still uploaded to YouTube, the full episode of Surf and Turf. So I'll drop the link of my review of Surf and Turf in the description below if you guys are wondering where my review of that episode is. So with that said, thanks for watching and have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Evie the Original Master here, and today I'm here to review the new SpongeBob episode that aired this morning at 11, The Night Patty and The Grill is Gone. So The Night Patty was the first episode to air, and it was pretty fitting because this was supposed to be this year's Halloween episode, which was actually pretty interesting. So, in the Night Patty, SpongeBob and Patrick visits a night-themed horror version of the Krusty Krab after their day of fun in Glove World. In fact, in the beginning of the episode, they were in Glove World having a good time, and then the lights went out, and then they were thrown out because it was closing time, and that was pretty funny. So then they were getting hungry. They were hungry, and Patrick then shows SpongeBob that there's actually a night version of the Krusty Krab, which they went to get some food. And then Patrick seems to recognize everybody there, which was pretty weird because I would have expected that. I didn't know Patrick would have known these guys, but it appears that he does. There were actually some new characters in this episode, such as the fisherman guy. He was actually one of the employees at the Night Patty. There was also this Squidward female lookalike who had like a very strong Southern accent. She was a pretty funny character. There was also another fry cook in the episode. He was like this brown fish guy in a shirt with a spatula. I'm not going to say his name because I could care less. I don't have to be professional with these reviews. As long as I provide them to you guys, that's all that matters. And yeah, so there were also references to this episode, such as the Rock Bottomies from Rock Bottom and Out of the Picture. There was also references from past episodes when SpongeBob was going through like this coffin. He pulled out Nosferatu from the Graveyard Shift or Graveyard Shift. He also pulled out the Heartman from Valentine's Day and the weird robot that Sandy built and Whatever Happened to SpongeBob from season 5. So yeah, those are some pretty good references there. And then it turns out to be that the people at the Night Patty don't crave regular Krabby Patties because it's taking place at night and they don't seem to like it. So the female Squidward Southern lookalike burnt the Krabby Patties, turning them to ashes, and then that's how the Night Patties were formed. So that's what they crave. They crave Night Patties. So yeah, that's what they crave. And yeah, overall, this episode was pretty good. Sorry this review was a little bit weird, but I tried everything I could to give you guys the review that you guys want. So this episode, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. Really good episode. I loved it, and it was pretty interesting. So now moving on to The Grill Is Gone. So The Grill Is Gone is a very generic SpongeBob episode about a group of kids stealing the Krusty Krab grill. In fact, in the episode, there isn't a sequence of them stealing the grill because at the beginning of the episode, the Krusty Krab was very dirty and all the customers were fat, and so SpongeBob had to clean everything up. So after SpongeBob cleaned everything up, that's when they realized that the grill was missing, and so they went to search for it. And then they spotted a garage where a bunch of these kids were using it to build a go-kart out of. There's actually two of these kids in the episode that look like Mario and Luigi without the mustaches because one of them had a red shirt and blue overalls while the other one had a green shirt and blue overalls, which was pretty funny because that reminded me of Mario and Luigi, the Mario brothers, which I will continue to reference if I see something similar to that in episodes of SpongeBob. So yeah, so to win the grill back, they have to go in a go-kart race or attend a go-kart race where they will race to see who will get the grill back. So of course, SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs win, obviously, because it's pretty predictable at this point. And so yeah, the race scene was pretty okay. It wasn't anything too groundbreaking, but it was cool to see the neat things that the grill go-kart could do. And Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob's go-kart being the boat that Squidward sits in the cash register. The wheels were made out of tables, and yeah, so that was pretty interesting. But overall, this episode just turned out to be a low good. It was just a low good for me. It wasn't as great as the Night Patty, but I still think the Night Patty was better than The Grill Is Gone in my opinion. So I'm gonna give The Grill Is Gone a 8 out of 10, while I'll give the Night Patty an 8.5, a little bit higher rating than The Grill Is Gone. So yeah, that's my review for the Night Patty and The Grill Is Gone from SpongeBob. There's another new episode coming out on next Sunday, which I'll be reviewing. So I'll see you guys then. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Hello everyone, this is EB the Original Master here, and today I'm here to review the Season 11 finale for SpongeBob SquarePants, Squirrel Jelly, and The String. Now before I get any further, as I mentioned in my Farmer Bot review, this is technically the Season 11 finale of the show for SpongeBob, is because that in production order, this is episode 26 of Season 11, and it is the final episode of the season, even though Goons on the Moon will technically be the last episode to air for Season 11, but that's not the final episode, though. So yeah. So in Squirrel Jelly, this episode actually feels like a much better version of Sports, is because that it had Sandy being really competitive. In fact, SpongeBob and Patrick were getting so tired of Sandy's competitiveness, they went to go to Jellyfish Fields to have some fun. But then Sandy had to come out of nowhere and ruined it. So yes, Sandy doesn't know how to play jellyfishing correctly. So we got SpongeBob and Patrick trying to teach her the proper way of playing it, but she becomes way too competitive. She ends up destroying the entire Jellyfish Fields, which had some really, really good visuals. And I actually really did love the way how they treated Sandy's character in this episode. Well, not the competitiveness because she went way too crazy with it. I actually liked the whole setting where she was like some Japanese Chinese tradition where they do like Zen or something. Yeah, I think it's probably Japanese culture or something. But that was actually the best part of the episode, in my opinion, was the whole fight against SpongeBob, Sandy, Patrick, and the giant jellyfish that Sandy turned into buzzsaws. So I'm not going to spoil too much for this episode. That's all I want to have to say. This episode was actually really good. I loved it. It was actually better than Sports, in my opinion. And yeah, this episode gets a 9.5 out of 10. Really good episode. And it's actually 15 minutes in length, if you guys are curious about it. So next we got The String. So in this episode, SpongeBob discovers a piece of string on Squidward's shirt while working at the Krusty Krab and tries to find out where the string ends. So this episode was actually really creative, but the only gag that I really didn't like about this episode was the whole nakedness. Is because every time SpongeBob pulled on the string, it caused people's clothes to come off and they become naked. And that really wasn't funny because it's not funny. There's nothing funny about characters being naked. It was used a lot with Squidward, and that is what gave this episode a drop down for my rating is because that I didn't like the fact that they kept doing the whole naked gag around Squidward of him going to different clothing stores to buy new outfits. And so, yeah, it was actually a pretty good episode. But instead of giving it a 9, I'm gonna give it an 8, is because of the whole nakedness. So this episode wasn't anything too bad, but the only thing I didn't like about the episode was the whole naked gag. But overall, it was still a good episode in my opinion. So I'm gonna give the string an 8.5 out of, no, I'm gonna give it an 8 instead of an 8.5. If they wouldn't never did the whole naked thing, I would give it an 8.5, but I'll just give it an 8 instead. So yeah, both the string and Squirrel Jelly were pretty good episodes, and I actually did like the ending of the string because it turned out to be that the string led up to Patrick, which was pretty funny. And they actually did have a live action segment where I think it was either Paul Tibbet. I think it was Paul Tibbet. He was like on a fishing boat. But yeah, that's what I'm guessing who it was. But if I'm not sure who it was, I'll always look it up on ESB. So yeah, that's my review for Squirrel Jelly and The String, 2 good episodes. And I'll see you guys next Sunday with the last episode of season 11, Goons on the Moon. But again, that's not the season 11 finale. It's just the last episode of season 11 that they're airing. So with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.